Chapter 334. Looking for a feng shui master? Yen Chuan narrowed his eyes. Obviously he was looking for Feng Yin-yang. Yes, I don't know if I can find him. Dongfang Jingpai shook his head. Pfft. Miao jumped onto Yen Chuan's shoulder. Ah? Dongfang Jingpai was shocked. This is... Dongfang Jingpai's eyes lit up. Yen Chuan, where did you find this? My goodness, with this little cat you will attract many girls. What a cute little cat. Dongfang Jingpai's eyes lit up. Cat, your sister? Miao was furious. Ah. Dongfang Jingpai's face froze. A talking cat? This little cat can talk? Dongfang Jingpai exclaimed. You are the cat, your whole family are cats. Miao was furious. Ah. Dongfang Jingpai's face froze again. Miao is actually a tiger? Yen Chuan explained with a smile. After hearing Yen Chuan's explanation, Miao felt much better. Tiger, tiger? Dongfang Jingpai pointed at Miao as if he had seen a ghost. How could there be such a small tiger? The size of a palm? Is this a tiger? Ignorant pervert. Miao raised her head proudly. Pervert? Dongfang Jingpai's face twitched. Miao, this is Dongfang Jingpai. Yen Chuan introduced. Dongfang Jingpai looked at the little cat and said in a magnetic voice, Miao, right? You've misunderstood me. Actually, as my name suggests, I'm definitely a role model for all men. Miao raised her head and ignored Dongfang Jingpai. Dongfang Jingpai's face froze. However, he was thick-skinned. He looked at Yen Chuan and said, Brother Yen, you have to help me. This kitten, no, this little tiger is so rare. Tell me, where did you find it? I want to find one too. Dongfang Jingpai immediately shouted. You're looking too? Nonsense, with little kitten and little Miao in our hands, wouldn't we be friends with all women in the world? Dongfang Jingpai said shamelessly. Yen Chuan had a strange expression on his face. In the end, he shook his head and said, I saw it in the Demon Wind Mountain Range. If you want to look for it, take your time. Oh, okay, I can't let others beat me to it. Brother Yen, many thanks. Dongfang Jingpai hurriedly ran away. Seeing the Eastern Orthodox sect disappear in the blink of an eye, Yen Chuan was speechless. Yen Chuan, how do you know such a wretched man? Kitten looked at Yen Chuan in confusion. Yen Chuan smiled. All right, we're going to dive again. Be careful. Yen Chuan grabbed Miao and said, Going into the water again? I don't want to. Miao shouted anxiously. Can't you breathe through your pores? There's a passage below. We're out of the Demon Wind Mountain Range. Yen Chuan smiled. Why? Miao said anxiously. Because I don't want others to see me for the time being. Yen Chuan explained. I don't want to. Miao shouted anxiously. Plop. Yen Chuan grabbed Miao and jumped into the lake. Oh. Miao whined unhappily. Beside the Black Dragon Lake, 3,000 members of the embroidered uniform army sat cross-legged. Huo Guang and Lu Jin looked worried. Will the king be okay? Huo Guang asked worriedly. Definitely not, the king will be fine. Lu Jin said confidently. The two waited patiently. Bang. Suddenly the water in the lake surged. A voice came out of the water. Big bad guy, I hate water. Why did you take me underwater for so long? A young voice said angrily. Chapter 335. My king. It's my king. Lu Jin exclaimed. My king. Huo Guang exclaimed in surprise. The 3,000 soldiers were awakened and looked at Yen Chuan, who was walking ashore slowly. My king, you are finally back. It's good that you are fine. Lu Jin said happily. The First Legion has completed the mission. Huo Guang said excitedly. Long live my king. The soldiers of the embroidered uniform army shouted. Good. Yen Chuan said with a smile. Miao Miao, on the other hand, was looking at the group in confusion. My king, we uprooted the Life League and took everything out. We got a total of 5,000 upper-grade spirit stones and countless magical treasures and weapons. Huo Guang said excitedly. Spirit stones? Where are the spirit stones? Miao's eyes lit up. Huh. Huo Guang and Lu Jin looked at the kitten that Yen Chuan brought back with a strange expression. Can talk? The kitten can talk? Seeing Yen Chuan nodding, Lu Jin opened the spatial scroll. A large number of spirit stones were placed in the scroll. Miao said excitedly. She swung her head and the felt hat on her head faced the spatial scroll. Collect. Miao shouted. Rumble. A large number of spirit stones flew toward the felt hat. Strangely, when they reached the mouth of the felt hat, they suddenly became smaller. Ah. Lu Jin's expression changed. She quickly opened the spatial scroll. Bang! The spirit stones scattered on the ground, but they were quickly sucked into the felt hat. In the blink of an eye, only 1/5 of the spirit stones were left in the spatial scroll. Lu Jin's face was filled with pain. Miao put on the felt hat again. She hugged a upper-grade spirit stone and chewed it happily. Crunch. Crunch. Soon, Miao finished the entire top-grade spirit stone as if she was eating rice crust. After eating it, he took out another one from the small felt hat and began to chew on it excitedly. Huo Guang and Lu Jin were at a loss. What was going on? Yan Chuan also looked at Miao in surprise. Eat spirit stones? Your Majesty, this. Lu Jin looked at the kitten in confusion. It's a tiger called Miao? Yan Chuan explained. Tiger? The 3,000 soldiers were all at a loss. From now on it will follow me. Keep the spirit stones. Yan Chuan laughed. Oh. Lu Jin was still in a daze. I'm stingy. Miao lay on Yan Chuan's shoulder and chewed on the spirit stones. Huo Guang practiced this skill well. Yan Chuan handed over a bamboo scroll. Spear heart skill? Huo Guang was surprised. Go and rest for a while. After I change my clothes, we will return to the Day sect. Yan Chuan said. Yes. Day sect. Yan Chuan led the army and slowly walked out of the forest. Many disciples of the Day sect gathered around him. Peak Master Tian is back. Peak Master Tian is back. Blood demon, another blood demon. Have you heard? Peak Master Tian killed 6,000 disciples of the Life League in one night in the Demon Wind Mountain range. One person, just one person. And the others from Peak Master Tian uprooted the Life League. A large number of disciples of the Day sect came out to watch. This time it was completely different from the last time. Last time they were not optimistic about this group of people. This time many disciples were full of admiration. From now on, Peak Master Tian was officially recognized by the disciples of the Day sect. Chapter 336. Day sect. Great River Hall. Feng Tairan, Duan Sanshu and the 4 Peak Lords gathered. 5th stage of Essence Realm? Black Peak Lord Feng Tianyu looked at Yan Chuan in surprise. Not long ago, Yan Chuan was still at the 2nd stage of Essence Realm. I had a small fortuitous encounter in Demon Wind Mountain range. Yan Chuan smiled. Small fortuitous encounter? You've killed so many people. Gao Bufan sighed and smiled. Life League and Day sect have a grudge. So what if I killed them? Mo Wuhui said lightly. Although his tone was light, it was not difficult to hear his hatred for Life League. Sect Master, are you feeling better? Yan Chuan looked at Feng Tairan. I'm almost there. Sanshu just woke up. It will take some time for me to recover. Feng Tairan smiled. Yan Chuan, thank you for your help in Demon Wind Mountain range. Duan Sanshu said solemnly. They thought that there was no hope for them. Who would have thought that they could escape death because of Yan Chuan? You're welcome. Yan Chuan smiled. Do you have any plans for Tianfeng? Continue to go out and train? Feng Tairan asked doubtfully. Shaking his head, Yan Chuan smiled and said, That's why I'm looking for you. I heard that Day sect has a share in Carefree City where ZZ is? Yan Chuan asked. Carefree City? Everyone was puzzled. Yes, it's a cultivator city that our 6 great sects established together. Our 6 great sects are in charge of Carefree City and it's divided into 6 halls. Day sect occupies the Great River Hall of Carefree City. Every year, the city's tax revenue is divided into 6 portions. Our Day sect takes 1 portion. Feng Tairan nodded. Establishing an immortal city for 100 sects to circulate resources and collect taxes to support their own sections. But a lower-level sect needs to establish an immortal city with others? Yan Chuan frowned. Feng Tairan smiled bitterly and said, Powerful inferior sects will naturally establish their own, and even have more than 1 immortal cultivator city. But the foundation of our Day sect is too weak. Then who is in charge of Carefree City's Great River Hall? Yan Chuan asked doubtfully. For now it's me. What? You want to host it? Feng Tairan asked doubtfully. Everyone looked at Yan Chuan in confusion. You can say that. Can I? Yan Chuan smiled. Everyone looked at Yan Chuan strangely. The 6 sects are in charge of the Worry-Free City, and the Life Moon Alliance is one of them. Now that the Life Moon Alliance has been uprooted, the resources under the Life Moon Alliance will naturally have to be redistributed. Since you've destroyed the Life Moon Alliance, it's best for you to handle this matter. Feng Tairan nodded. But Yan Chuan, can you do it? Gao Bufan asked strangely. That's right, you went to deal with Worry-Free City. Aren't you going to focus on your cultivation? Don't you find it troublesome? Duan Sanshu was also puzzled. There was nothing much to manage in Carefree City. All he had to do was collect the taxes when the time came. Wouldn't he be distracted? No matter, I like trouble. Yan Chuan smiled faintly. Since that's the case, you can go. I'll send people to inform the other hall masters. Alright, let Zhu Jiansheng and the rest follow you. They can explain the situation in Worry-Free City to you. Feng Tairan said after some thought. Alright. Yan Chuan nodded. After bidding farewell to everyone, Yan Chuan returned to Heavenly Peak. King of Hell's Hall. Huo Guang stood respectfully in front of Yan Chuan. Miao was listlessly sleeping on a chair at the side. How's the Spear Heart Sutra? Yan Chuan asked. I memorized it all and burned it. Huo Guang said solemnly. And what are you going to do next? Yan Chuan asked with a smile. The Spear Heart Sutra has a total of 10 levels. I will pass down the first and second levels. After that, according to the soldiers' comprehension and contribution, I will slowly teach them in the form of rewards. Huo Guang said. Chapter 337. Not bad, you've matured. Yan Chuan smiled. Thank you for your compliment, King. Huo Guang said excitedly. Go and teach them. Follow me tomorrow morning. There are still many things to do. Yan Chuan said with satisfaction. Yes. The next day, everyone from Tianfeng left. The disciples of Day sect were confused. Tianfeng is weird. Yeah, they just came back 2 days ago and left again. What are they busy with? Aren't they cultivating? Everyone was discussing. Halfway up the Black Peak, Jiang Nan frowned as he looked at the people leaving. His face was gloomy. 2 disciples of Day sect were standing behind him. Senior brother, no, martial uncle, I think let's forget about it. Yan Chuan is too abnormal. One of them said with a complicated expression. Yes, senior brother. The other person also persuaded. Jiang Nan's face was gloomy. He said lightly, I know. Yan Chuan led the army to the west. After a day of traveling, they took a break. At the top of a mountain, Yan Chuan looked at the vast mountains and rivers. Zhu Jiansheng and the 7 swordsmen stood behind Yan Chuan. Martial uncle, your subordinates are really amazing. They were so powerful when they annihilated the Life League. It was as if Huo Guang had set up a net and the Life League's disciples jumped into it one by one. Zhu Jiansheng praised. Yeah, we didn't do anything that day. The 3 swordsmen nodded. This is an army. Yan Chuan smiled. Martial uncle's army is really strong. Zhu Jiansheng sighed. King, there's a battle ahead. Huo Guang ran from afar. Judging from the momentum, it should be 30 Qi State practitioners besieging a Qi State beast. Huo Guang reported. Let's go and take a look. Yan Chuan said immediately. Yes. Everyone quickly followed Yan Chuan to a mountain peak and looked down at the huge canyon below. Boom. Second brother, hurry up and shoot. Attack together, quick. Whirlwind strike. 30 elite realm Xiozha were surrounding a 3 zhang tall black wild boar. The wild boar had sharp fangs, and when it swung its fangs, it could draw a stream of light. As he stepped on the ground, the earth quaked and the mountains shook. One stomp could kill a Xiozha. Its skin was thick to begin with, and it was in the Qi realm. The group of Qi realm Xiozha could not break through the Yao Pig's defense. Many Xiozha were seriously injured and 2 had died. The battle was extremely tragic. Big brother, let's not take on this mission. There are many smaller missions in the Worry-Free City. There's no need to die here. Lao Jiao and Lao Shi were killed by this bastard. Avenge Lao Jiao and Lao Shi. Everyone roared, grieved, and fought. After killing for so long, the wild boar only lost one of its eyes, but the wild boar was even more irritable. It rampaged and knocked around, causing many Xiozha to fall to the ground. People from the Worry-Free City? Huo Guang, gather the troops and kill the boar demon. Yan Chuan said. Yes. Huo Guang replied. With a wave of his hand, 1,000 members of the embroidered army quickly moved forward and took their positions. Release. Huo Guang ordered. Boom. 1,000 shooting sun arrows shot towards the wild boar demon in the canyon like a meteor shower. Brr. The wild boar roared in shock. It raised a Qi wall in fear. Boom. 1,000 shooting sun arrows under the terrifying force broke through the wild boar's defense. Chapter 338. Tissus. The arrows pierced into the wild boar's body. Ao 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 ao. The wild boar screamed in disbelief and fell to the ground instantly. In the canyon, the group of tragic practitioners who had been killing the wild boar were all stunned. The wild boar demon, who had worked so hard to break its defense, was killed in seconds? Everyone was shocked and looked up at the mountain at the same time. But when they saw Yen Chuan and the others, their faces darkened. Everyone, what's the meaning of this? One of them was worried. After all, the other party had thousands of people. They only had more than 20 left. How could they compete with them? Were they here to rob the wild boar demon? No way. Pick someone who is in charge. My king has something to ask. Huo Guang shouted. The people below looked at each other. There was hesitation on their faces. On the mountain, Zhu Jiansheng and others looked at Yen Chuan in confusion. Martial uncle, why do you want to find them? Zhu Jiansheng asked curiously. Lu Jin took out a dragon chair for Yen Chuan to sit on. I have my own plans. Yen Chuan smiled slightly. Bang! Suddenly, a white light shot from Yen Chuan's dragon platform not far away. Meow! The white light fell on Yen Chuan's shoulder. What happened just now? A pig made a sound? Meow shouted excitedly. Hey, this cat can talk? Zhu Jiansheng and the 7 swordsmen suddenly widened their eyes. Cat? You said I'm a cat? Meow looked at the 8 people with a straight face. Did martial uncle prepare it for Miss Z? It's really cute. Zhu Jiansheng sighed. Cute your sister, I'm a tiger, a tiger? Meow said indignantly. Everyone's face stiffened slightly. Meow is indeed a tiger. Don't provoke her. Yen Chuan smiled slightly. The 8 people nodded strangely. That's more like it. Meow calmed down. Oh right, did a pig make a sound just now? There really is a big pig down there. Meow said in surprise. Aren't you always sleeping? Why did you suddenly wake up? Yen Chuan asked doubtfully. I like the sound of pigs being slaughtered. Why didn't you call me when it was so tragic? Meow said angrily. You like the sound of pigs being slaughtered? Yen Chuan asked in surprise. Yen Chuan was not the only one who was surprised. Everyone around him was also at a loss. A kitten that liked to hear the sound of pigs being slaughtered? At this moment, a red-robed man walked up from below. The man was led to Yen Chuan. I'm Mu Qianli. May I know why seniors are here? The burly man asked nervously. You don't have to worry. We're just passing by. By the way, we have something to ask you. Yen Chuan smiled. That wild boar demon? Mu Qianli said with some anticipation. I'll give it to you. Yen Chuan smiled. Many thanks, Senior. If Senior has any questions, Junior will answer them all. Mu Qianli said excitedly. I heard you guys say that you guys are from Worry-Free City? What order? And which sector you guys from? Can you tell me? Yen Chuan asked curiously. Just these? Mu Qianli was surprised. Just these. Yen Chuan smiled. Many thanks for Senior's help. Senior's questions are not a secret. We are all people who make a living in Worry-Free City. Most of us are unaffiliated cultivators. Some are from small clans and small sections. Because our strength is weaker, we can only gather together. In Worry-Free City, we have a collective name, mercenaries, Mu Qianli said bitterly. Mercenaries? Yen Chuan was puzzled. Yes. In Worry-Free City, we mercenaries accept orders from others. For example, we're looking for certain materials for alchemy or smithing. We help them find them and they give us enough spirit stones. Cultivators need large amounts of resources to cultivate. It wasn't easy for us to reach the essence realm. Naturally, we have to work harder and earn more spirit stones to cultivate. Mu Qianli smiled bitterly. So unaffiliated cultivators are so poor? Huo Guang exclaimed. Mu Qianli smiled bitterly. Mortals often said that cultivators were free and unfettered. But how would mortals know that those free and unfettered cultivators were people who didn't want to improve themselves and just sat there waiting for death? For example, how many spirit stones can you earn in a month? Yen Chuan asked curiously. Us? There's no fixed amount. But on average I can earn about 50 low-grade spirit stones. 20 for my own cultivation and 30 for my wife and son. Mu Qianli said proudly. Clearly, 50 low-grade spirit stones a month was a very successful number. Are there many mercenaries like you in Worry-Free City? Yen Chuan asked curiously. Many? How can there not be many? There are at least tens of thousands. Mu Qianli said with certainty. I know, many thanks. You can go now. Yen Chuan smiled. Yes, thank you, Senior. Mu Qianli retreated down the mountain fearfully. At the foot of the mountain, the embroidered uniform army retrieved the shooting sun arrows from the wild boar demon and slowly retreated. Mu Qinli went down the mountain and asked the last embroidered uniform army soldier who was about to leave, "Senior, may I ask who your king is?" "King. Haha, our king is the Peak Lord of Day Sect's Heavenly Peak," the embroidered uniform army soldier said proudly and left a shocked Mu Qinli behind. "Peak Lord of Heavenly Peak? Day Sect? Yanchuan?" Mu Qinli muttered. "The one who killed 6,000 Life League disciples in a night, Blood Devil Yanchuan?" Mu Qinli looked at Yanchuan's army in shock. Chapter 339. At the peak of a mountain. Yanchuan led the army to a stop. Almost all the soldiers were looking into the distance in shock. Far away the sky was blue. Below them was 100 zhang tall city wall that stretched endlessly. There were numerous runes floating on top of the city wall, as if it was some kind of array formation protecting the city wall. 100 zhang? Isn't that too exaggerated? In the mortal world, the city walls are at most 50 zhang tall. How can it be so tall? Is this a city wall? Guang exclaimed in shock. 50 zhang? It's not even as big as some demonic beasts. How can it be used as a city wall? Zhu Jiansheng laughed. This wall can block demonic beasts. Speaking of which, even a high god realm expert can forget about breaking this wall. The Three Swords hero said proudly. How much effort is needed to build this wall? I can't even see the end of it. Guang exclaimed. Idiot, don't you know how to find a feng shui master? Don't feng shui masters do this? Miao said with disdain. Guang's face stiffened. Miao Miao is right. This worry-free city was actually formed by asking the feng shui master to bring the mountain range here and then carefully processing it. At that time, the price paid to the feng shui master was not small. Zhu Jiansheng explained. 100 zhang tall, you said that even a high god realm expert might not be able to break it. Can't they just fly over? Lu Jin was puzzled. 10% of the city is covered with countless array formations. There are countless array formations on top of the city walls and above the city. Even a high god realm expert would not be able to break through the city's defenses. If they want to enter the city, there is only one way, and that is through the city gates. Zhu Jiansheng explained. Indeed, there was a huge city gate in the distance. Above the gate were the words Worry-Free City. A large number of cultivators stood at the gate, inspecting the people entering and leaving. What's that? Guang asked in confusion. Zhu Jiansheng said, this place is a treasure land. Originally, the qi of heaven and earth was abundant. Later, the feng shui master brought 5 large dragon veins here. The qi of heaven and earth is abnormally abundant. There are many practitioners living in the city. Some are from sects, some are from clans, and most of them are rogue practitioners. They have open medicine shops, magical treasure shops, and so on. There are nearly 1 million people here. 1 million cultivators? So many? Lu Jin was surprised. Haha, 1 million cultivators. The city is actually not that big. Let's not talk about those large-scale immortal cities. There are close to 300 mortal kingdoms around it, and close to 100 billion mortals. How many cultivators are there in this city? Zhu Jiansheng laughed. Guang and Lu Jin fell silent. When the data came out, the two of them realized that their vision had been too narrow in the past. Let's go into the city, Yanchuan said with a smile. Yes. Lu Jin and Guang answered. Under the lead of Yanchuan, 3,000 members of the embroidered uniform army stepped into the distant northern city gate. Even though it was an immortal city, thousands of people suddenly came. It was not a small number. The guards at the city gate were slightly surprised. However, with Zhu Jiansheng and the others stepping forward, everything went much smoother. The Day Sect was one of the owners of this city. The guards at the city gate were also disciples of the Day Sect. Therefore they entered the city smoothly. Once they entered the city, there were countless mountains around them. The practitioners entered and ran in all directions. Some of the mountains were covered by clouds and mist. Some of them were shrouded in green light in the distance. Guang and the others were already dazzled by the sight. Martial uncle, the areas covered by clouds and mist are private territories in the city. There are formations protecting the mountains, similar to the houses of every family in a mortal city. Those areas covered by green light are public areas. There are streets, restaurants, and shops. It's actually not much different from the mortal world. Zhu Jiansheng explained. Chapter 340. Yanchuan nodded. Under the lead of Zhu Jiansheng and the rest, the group quickly arrived at a forested area in the north of the city. The waterfall flowed rapidly, and there were many palaces on the mountain not far from the waterfall. The group arrived at the group of palaces. The scenery was beautiful and they looked down from above. Main Palace, Great River Hall. There were many Day sect disciples in the surroundings. When they saw Zhu Jiansheng and Yan Chuan, they were extremely polite, and they glanced at Yan Chuan from time to time. Blood demon? That's Yan Chuan. Killing 6,000 people in one night, that's crazy. That's the peak lord of Heavenly Peak. The Day sect disciples discussed in low voices. Yan Chuan ignored them. Instead, he stood in front of the Great River Hall and looked around. This place was very high up. Standing in front of the Great River Hall, one could see endless mountains and rivers. In the distance, the green light shrouded the area. There were countless cultivators and many buildings. In the center are the shops, Zhu Jiansheng said. By the side, Huoguang exclaimed in admiration, just how big is this worryless city? Because cultivators like to occupy their own mountains. Even though there are millions of cultivators, the city is very big. It's about the size of a province in the mortal world. Zhu Jiansheng smiled. So big? Huoguang exclaimed. Of course it's big. In the street in front you can have whatever you want. As long as you have spirit stones. Zhu Jiansheng smiled. Yan Chuan looked at the Great River Hall behind him. Great River Hall. Huoguang, get someone to change the signboard of the Great River Hall to King of Hell's Hall. Yan Chuan said indifferently. Yes. Huoguang received the order and left. Tell me about the sect that controls Worry-Free City. Yan Chuan said. Yes, the first one is the Day sect. The second one is the Life League that was annihilated. The third one is the Demon Reigning sect. Actually, Martial Uncle knows the leader of the Demon Reigning sect, Zhu Jiansheng said with a smile. Oh? Zhu Jiansheng smiled and said, back in the mortal world, Uncle Master met King Mai in the Feng Shui formation. He is the sect master of the demon-controlling sect. Senior Mai came from the state of Zheng, which is close to the Yan state. When Uncle Master was in Beijing, Uncle Master took down 2 of King Mai's Qi state disciples. Do you still remember? King Mai? Yan Chuan's expression changed slightly. Yes, there are 3 other sections. They are the High Serenity sect, the Middle Serenity sect, and the Low Serenity sect. Zhu Jiansheng said. Oh? High Serenity sect, Middle Serenity sect, and Low Serenity sect? Yan Chuan narrowed his eyes. A light flashed in his eyes. I heard that the founders of these 3 sects were all disciples of a sect called the Serenity sect. After the Serenity sect was destroyed, the 3 of them started their own sections. The names are quite similar and the 3 sects have a good relationship with each other. Zhu Jiansheng explained. My lord. Lu Jin frowned and said. Is it them? Yan Chuan said lightly. Lu Jin took out a list. There were almost 100 sects on the list. That's right. These 3 sects were the ones that forced the old emperor to his death. Lu Jin said seriously. Zhu Jiansheng and the 7 swordsmen's expressions changed. They smiled bitterly and said, that's right. These 3 sects were the ones that forced your father to his death. Yes. Yan Chuan nodded lightly. Originally, Carefree City was divided into 6 parts. The 6 sects were each in charge of one part of the city. The central business district was under our joint jurisdiction. My Day sect was in charge of the northern district. The 3 swordsmen said. Are they all lower-rank sects? Yan Chuan asked. No. In fact, our Day sect is the only legitimate lower-rank sect. The demon-driving sect is just an ordinary sect. The other 3 are actually lower-rank sects conferred by the Great Winged Heaven School. Zhu Jiansheng explained. Chapter 341. Is there a city lord? Yes, the sect leader of the Central Serenity sect, Zheng Hong, was elected by the 6 sections. He's an expert at the peak of the God realm. Zhu Jiansheng said. The Central Serenity sect, Zheng Hong? Yan Chuan frowned. The Life League and the 3 Serenity sect were elected by the 4 sects, so he naturally became the city lord. Of course, Carefree City is divided into 6 parts, so even if he becomes the city lord, we won't lose much. Zhu Jiansheng said with a smile. I roughly know the situation in the city. Where's Zizi staying? Yan Chuan asked. Miss Z? Martial Uncle, you're going? Yes, I'll go and see her first. Then I'll send Martial Uncle. Zhu Jiansheng said immediately. Huoguang, set up camp and let the soldiers rest. Yan Chuan said to Huoguang, who was changing the plaque. Yes. Huoguang replied. At this moment, the main hall's plaque had been changed. King of Hell's Palace. Let's go. Not long after Yan Chuan entered the city, the news quickly spread. In a large hall in Carefree City, a man in a luxurious robe sat on the main seat. It was King Yi whom Yan Chuan had met before. There were 7 or 8 cultivators standing in front of him, 3 of which were King Ye's disciples. Eldest senior brother Dan Qingzi's expression was extremely ugly. Master Yanchuan came just now, Dan Qingzi said with an ugly expression. He still remembered the feeling of being stepped on by Yanchuan. It was the shame of his life. Master, rumor has it that Yanchuan killed 6,000 disciples of the Life League in one night. Isn't that a little too exaggerated? Yes, Master. The last time I saw him he was only in the strength realm. Dan Qingzi said. But it's true that the Life League was uprooted by Yanchuan. Moreover, King Yi said in a deep voice. Besides what? The low-tier disciples of the Life Alliance weren't the only ones who were killed. All of the Life Alliance's Divine Realm experts seem to have died. King Yi Mu said in a grim voice. The disciples? Master, what do you think we should do? Dan Qingzi was conflicted. Lu Gang, what do you think? King Wild took a sip of tea and looked at his youngest disciple. Lu Gang used to be a worshipper of the state of Zheng. Later on, King Mai had taken him in as a disciple in order to seize the army destroyer's will in the Feng Shui formation. He was the first to surrender to Yanchuan in the Battle of Yanjing. Disciple feels that we should wait and see. Perhaps there will be more changes. Lu Gang rubbed his bald head and smiled. King Yi Mu asked calmly. Although this disciple has only joined the sect for a short period of time, I know a little about the situation in Carefree City. The Life Moon League and the Triyu sect have a close relationship. Once the Life Moon League is destroyed, the Triyu sect might vent their anger on Yanchuan. They might even target Yanchuan. Lu Gang said respectfully. That's right. Continue. King Mai nodded. Now that the Life Moon League is destroyed, there will definitely be conflicts in the city. Master, why don't you let the Day sect and the Triyu sect fight for it first? We can make our move when the situation is clear. Lu Gang said seriously. Good. Master didn't misjudge you. King Mai looked at Lu Gang with a smile. Master, of course. You already know everything. You're just testing me? Lu Gang immediately said humbly. You may leave. King Mai said with satisfaction. Yes. The disciples all left the hall. After leaving the hall, Lu Gang looked at Dan Qingzi and third senior brother curiously. Eldest senior brother, third senior brother, are you still planning to take revenge for Yanchuan? Lu Gang asked. The two of them looked at each other and their faces twitched. Revenge? Revenge my ass. Yanchuan alone killed hundreds of Qi state cultivators. Wouldn't they be courting death if they went after him? Senior brother's junior brother feels that there is no deep hatred between us and Yanchuan. All of this can be resolved. Lu Gang said with a smile. Chapter 342. Carefree City on a small hilltop. Zhujiansheng, Yanchuan, Lu Jin and Miao were standing on the hilltop. Leaning on Yanchuan's shoulder were Miao. Martial uncle, Miss Z is in the mountains in front. It's called Purple Heart Villa. Zhujiansheng pointed to a place not far away. Purple Heart Villa? Yanchuan looked at the place not far away. Why is there no one living in the surrounding mountains? It's such a big area, why is there no one? Is the terrain not good? Lu Jin asked curiously. Zhu Jiansheng smiled bitterly and said, the terrain is excellent and contains auspicious energy. It's a rare treasure land, but because Miss Z is here, so... Zhu Jiansheng did not finish his sentence, but everyone understood. They were afraid of Miss Z and did not dare to go near her. How do you know that Miss Z is here? Yanchuan asked. Miss Z has a property in the downtown area of the city, but she rarely goes there. I heard that she lives in Purple Heart Villa all year round. She doesn't even bring any servants or maids with her. She lives alone. Zhu Jiansheng said. The surrounding clouds are very light. There doesn't seem to be any formation. Lu Jin asked curiously. Formation? Does Miss Z need a formation for her residence? Who dares to go there? Zhu Jiansheng asked curiously. Wait for me outside. I'll go in and take a look. Yanchuan said. Outside? Lu Jin was worried. Zhou Jianxing heaved a sigh of relief. Miao, you stay too? Yanchuan said to his shoulder. No, I want to go. Miao suddenly shouted. What are you going to do? Yanchuan frowned. You don't have to worry about me. Don't worry, I'll be by your side. I won't disturb you. Miao hugged a high-grade spirit stone and said. Crack, crack. As he chewed on the spirit stones, he looked at Yanchuan with a gaze that seemed to say, I'm definitely going. All right, when the time comes, you stay at the side and don't mess around. Yanchuan nodded. Yanchuan took a step forward and headed deeper inside. Walala. As soon as he entered, he heard the sound of a waterfall. Following a clean path, Chuan slowly walked towards a large waterfall. There was a deep pool under the waterfall and there were a few simple houses on the shore. Not far from the house, there was a wooden sign with the words Purple Heart Villa carved on it. There was a relatively quiet lake beside the deep pool, and there was a long pier that extended into the middle of the lake. Chuan could see at a glance that Zizi was sitting on the dock. Zizi was sitting alone on the dock, with a pair of shoes and a golden mask beside her. Zizi's feet were placed in the lake, and she was gently paddling. She was holding a red comb in her hand, and facing the reflection of the lake, she was gently combing her long hair. It was accompanied by a cool breeze and water vapor. Hum 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 hum. Under the loud sound of the waterfall, Zizi's voice was faintly heard, as if she was humming some kind of moving music. It was very pleasant to the ears. Chuan stood not far away quietly watching. He watched Zizi's feet swaying in the lake, gently combing her hair, and humming a tune by herself. Chuan stood there for the time it took for an incense stick to burn, but Zizi's posture never changed. Crack, it's been so long, why is she still combing her hair and humming? Meow was puzzled as she bit the spirit stone. You don't understand. Chuan's eyes flashed with a trace of pity. What do you think? Meow asked curiously. This is a person's romance. Chuan sighed slightly. Chapter 343. One person's romance? Meow? Meow really didn't understand. Who's there? Zizi seemed to have sensed someone approaching. Zizi put down the comb in a panic and quickly picked up a golden mask. After putting it on, she turned around. The moment she turned around, Chuan saw Zizi's eyes turn purple. Zizi turned around angrily and saw Chuan standing there quietly. The moment she saw Chuan, her purple eyes revealed a trace of surprise and joy. The original anger dissipated and her purple eyes slowly turned back to black. Ah? Meow looked at Zizi curiously. Looking at Zizi, Chuan smiled. This smile made Zizi's mood instantly lighten up. She pulled her fair and delicate feet out of the lake and gently shook off the water stains. She put on her shoes and walked over. Chuan, why are you here? Zizi's voice was filled with joy. Purple hair and purple clothes. Even with the golden mask, it couldn't hide her mature beauty. I just arrived at Carefree City and came to see you. Chuan smiled. As he spoke, Chuan walked forward again. Don't come over. Zizi instantly panicked and retreated. I said it's okay. Chuan smiled. Don't. It's good to talk like this. Zizi shook her head. Meow, big hooligan. She didn't even let you go forward and you still want to go forward. Are you going to violate her? Meow chewed on a spiritual stone and gloated. Chuan's face darkened. He regretted bringing Meow along. Perhaps she was too focused on Chuan, but Zizi seemed to have only noticed Meow now. This is your cat? So cute and can talk. Zizi's eyes were filled with affection. I'm not a cat. I said I'm not a cat. Meow suddenly shouted. This was a matter of principle. Meow looked at Zizi angrily. Ah? Zizi looked at Meow in surprise. At the same time, a trace of embarrassment appeared on her face. This awkwardness was not because of Meow but because of Chuan. She's a tiger. Her name is Meow. She likes spirit stones. Chuan immediately introduced. Did you hear that? I'm a tiger, a big tiger, meow meow. Meow bared its fangs and brandished its claws. Hearing Chuan's explanation, Zizi immediately understood what he meant. With a faint smile, he walked into the room at the side. Soon he came out with a box. Umph. Meow was still hostile towards Zizi. Meow? I made a mistake just now. In order to apologize to you, I'll give you a little toy. Zizi said with a smile. Little toy? Zizi said ungratefully. Zizi gently opened the box. Suddenly, a faint red light emerged from the box, emitting a mesmerizing color. In the box there were 2 red gemstones. The gemstones were emitting a faint red light, which was exceptionally mesmerizing. Supreme-grade spirit stones? Chuan said in surprise. Meow meow meow. Meow abandoned her principles in the blink of an eye and smiled as if she was trying to please Zizi. Zizi placed the small box on the stone table at the side and gently stepped back. These are 2 supreme-grade fire spirit stones. I'll give them to you as an apology, okay? Zizi smiled. Meow meow, Sister Zizi is so beautiful. Meow immediately jumped off Chuan's shoulder and jumped onto the stone table. She looked at the supreme grade fire spirit stones with a mesmerizing expression. The big hooligan is in luck. Go and marry Sister ZZ. In the future I'll have supreme grade fire spirit stones every day. Meow hugged a supreme grade fire spirit stone and said happily. Chapter 344. Meow was only the size of 2 fists, and a piece of top-grade spirit stone was the size of a fist. Meow was not content and seemed to want to hug the 2 of them together, which was very cute. Meow is so cute. ZZ smiled. Perhaps it was because ZZ was also very friendly to Meow. Yen Chuan stepped forward slightly, and ZZ retreated slightly. However, seeing Yen Chuan's determined eyes, ZZ's eyes moistened. She did not insist and allowed Yen Chuan to come within 2 feet of her. Let's sit by the lake for a while more, Yen Chuan said. Okay. ZZ nodded. The 2 walked back to the dock together. ZZ left a small red comb on the dock. Sitting beside the comb, Yen Chuan followed ZZ's example. He took off his shoes and put his feet in the lake. Sitting on the dock, he slightly stirred the lake water. Seeing Yen Chuan's actions, ZZ was touched. She did not know when it started, but she had hoped that there would be someone who would quietly accompany her like this. In the past, everyone avoided her. Now there was finally someone who did not avoid her. Her husband? ZZ's eyes were filled with a sense of peaceful satisfaction. Just like Yen Chuan, she took off her shoes and put them in the water. Sitting by the lake, they sat quietly for a while. I heard from Juji and Sheng that you've been living here all these years? You don't go out much? Yen Chuan asked softly. Yes. ZZ nodded. There's no one around here, not even a maid. Don't you feel lonely living here alone? Why don't you live in the downtown area? At least you can see a lot of people. Yen Chuan asked. ZZ bit her lips and was silent for a while. Finally, she shook her head and said, I like being alone. It's quieter. Really? Yen Chuan asked. ZZ was silent and did not say anything. Taking a deep breath, Yen Chuan said softly, Don't worry. With me here, you won't be lonely again. Yes, ZZ said softly. The 2 of them just sat there like that. At this moment, silence spoke louder than words. 1,000 words and 10,000 words are not enough to sit together. Just as ZZ was feeling the warmth of his heart. Suddenly, a red light fell from the sky and went straight into the center of the lake. Boom. The center of the lake exploded in all directions. Yes. Yen Chuan's expression changed. Someone was coming to attack? He was about to stand up. Someone I know. It's fine. ZZ immediately said. Yen Chuan felt relieved. At the center of the lake, a woman in red was standing there. Her red robe was shaped like a cheongsam, and it wrapped around her voluptuous figure. Her red hair was draped over her shoulders, and her exquisite face revealed a faint heroic spirit. Her clothes fluttered as she stood on the surface of the lake. She looked like a goddess in the water. It was extremely eye-catching. Who are you? Why are you in the Purple Heart Mountain Villa? The red-clothed woman immediately frowned and looked at Yen Chuan. I am ZZ's husband. Who are you? Yen Chuan asked in a deep voice. Husband? Yen Chuan? You're Yen Chuan? The red-clothed woman was slightly surprised. ZZ, is it because of him that you are unwilling to go back with me? The red-clothed woman frowned and looked at ZZ. Let me ask you. Who are you? Yen Chuan asked again. ZZ immediately looked at Yen Chuan and said, Her name is Meng Hongying. She is my cousin. Cousin? Meng Hongying? Yen Chuan said in surprise. ZZ has a cousin? Yen Chuan looked at ZZ in surprise. In Yen Chuan's impression, ZZ was the only one. How could she have a cousin? A month ago. I just found out. ZZ smiled bitterly. So it's true? Yen Chuan frowned. It was mentioned in the letter that my father left me. My parents are from the Meng family, but they broke a taboo and were expelled from the family. They are not allowed to use the surname Meng. ZZ said bitterly. Broke a taboo? Expelled from the family? Yen Chuan was surprised. My parents are cousins. Maybe it's retribution. They shouldn't be together, but they got together and gave birth to me. I cursed them to death. ZZ explained bitterly. Chapter 345. Yen Chuan fell silent after hearing ZZ's explanation. ZZ, why are you telling him so much? I'm here to bring you back. Grandfather has forgiven your parents. Moreover, they are dead. Come back with me. Meng Hongying said. Go back? What have you been doing all these years? Yen Chuan's face darkened. If ZZ was alone it would have been fine. But now they found out that there was a family behind ZZ. Since there was a family, why did this family ignore ZZ all these years? Me? Do you think it's easy to bring ZZ's parents back? Grandpa has just become the head of the family and obtained the divine throne. If he had brought ZZ's parents back earlier, the elders in the family would have killed them. Grandpa is protecting ZZ's parents, Meng Hongying shouted. Yin Chuan's face softened. I've been investigating in Carefree City for the past few days. ZZ, you've been wronged all these years. Come back with me. No one will hate you when you're home. Everyone will respect you and you'll have enough power. You can do whatever you want. Meng Hongying persuaded. ZZ shook her head and said, I think it's a good idea. Meng Hongying was stunned. What's so good about being hated by those ignorant people? If it were me, I would have gone crazy. Wait, is it because of him? Meng Hongying turned and looked at Yen Chuan, who was sitting beside ZZ. ZZ remained silent. She did not say anything, but she was sure of it. Meng Hongying stared at Yen Chuan and squinted her eyes. Level 5 Essence Realm? Yen Chuan? Aren't you afraid of death? Meng Hongying asked. Death? Why would I die? Yen Chuan smiled. Don't you know about ZZ's curse? Anyone who dares to come close will be in trouble. Don't you know? Meng Hongying said. ZZ's expression froze and a trace of impatience flashed in her eyes. She then took a deep breath and remained silent, as if she was waiting for Yen Chuan's answer. ZZ is my wife, why can't I get close to her? Aren't I close now? Yen Chuan smiled faintly. Meng Hongying frowned. Indeed, Yen Chuan was right beside ZZ. Let me tell you. You're not worthy of ZZ. Don't you dare. Meng Hongying shouted. But halfway through, ZZ interrupted him. Meng Hongying. ZZ shouted. Meng Hongying was slightly surprised. That's my business. It's none of your business. ZZ said in a low voice. Meng Hongying looked at ZZ anxiously. ZZ, let me tell you, there are no good men in this world. He's just using you. Meng Hongying shouted. Enough. ZZ said angrily. All right, let's not talk about this. I have another question for Yen Chuan. Meng Hongying said anxiously. After all, they were cousins. ZZ did not object this time. Yen Chuan, I know about ZZ's curse. Those who do evil to ZZ will be cursed immediately. Those who do good to ZZ will also be cursed, but it will be weaker and will be delayed for a period of time. You're sitting beside ZZ and I think you're trying to touch her. You're up to no good, Meng Hongying said coldly. So? Yen Chuan smiled faintly. Since you want to be ZZ's husband, do you dare to touch her? If you don't, then you must be up to something. Meng Hongying said coldly. Chapter 346. Meng Hongying. ZZ's eyes flashed with anger. Ulterior motives? ZZ is my wife. What am I after? What do you want from the Meng family? I didn't know anything about the Meng family before today. Besides, ZZ is my wife. Why should I be afraid? Yen Chuan said lightly. As she spoke, she grabbed the red comb at the side and grabbed ZZ's beautiful hair. Don't? ZZ cried out. It doesn't matter. I, Yen Chuan, am blessed with good fortune. I'm not afraid of curses. Let me comb your hair for you. Yen Chuan gently shook his head. Reaching out, Yen Chuan touched ZZ's beautiful purple hair. Grabbing the red comb, Yen Chuan gently combed ZZ's hair. As the comb brushed across her scalp and her hair, ZZ seemed to be stunned. I said it's fine. Yen Chuan smiled. ZZ's eyes immediately moistened. His eyes flashed with an indescribable emotion. How dare you? Meng Hongying was stunned. Rumble. 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 All of a sudden, dark clouds gathered in the sky, rolling over and rumbling above Yen Chuan's head. The massive black cloud instantly covered Worry-Free City in darkness. You came? Here it comes. Endless thunder? Heaven's wrath? Meng Hongying looked at the sky in surprise. For a moment, countless cultivators in Worry-Free City raised their heads to look at the sky. They stared in shock at the dark clouds that suddenly gathered in the sky. What's going on? Was this the heavenly tribulation? Who is transcending the tribulation? What tribulation is this? 49 heavenly tribulations? So big? No, the 59 heavenly tribulation seems to be even greater. My God, how is this possible? All of the Xiozha in Carefree City looked at the sky in terror. Oh. In all directions of the Worry-Free City, raging winds blew, as though the end of the world had arrived. Countless people were terrified. Rumble. In the airspace above the Worry-Free City, A gigantic blue dome suddenly appeared, covering the top of the city, as though it was preparing to block the rolling tribulation clouds. How is that possible? The Carefree City's array automatically defended itself? That means that only those who possess sufficient strength to destroy Worry-Free City would be able to do so. What tribulation is this? It can't be divine retribution, right? Countless Shioja were terrified. The rolling tribulation clouds were filled with a boundless aura of destruction. A large number of cultivators broke into a run in terror, fleeing out of Worry-Free City. It was too terrifying. Such a huge tribulation cloud? Purple Heart Villa. The sky was dark and a fierce wind blew in the Purple Heart Mountain Villa. Almost everyone was stunned. Meng Hongying could sense that the tribulation clouds were targeting her. Yanchuan? Were they targeting Yanchuan? Divine retribution? Meng Hongying was stunned. This is too exaggerated, this cousin is too exaggerated. Divine retribution? Yanchuan also stared blankly at the sky. It's just a small hairstyle, is there a need to go so far? What kind of stance was this? What kind of stance was this? Why was it so similar to a mortal's tribulation? It was just combing her hair, just a small one. No, get out of the way. ZZ pushed Yanchuan away in fear. The red comb fell to the ground. ZZ was so frightened that she started crying. She wasn't crying for herself, because she knew that no matter how big the tribulation was, she would be fine. It was because of Yanchuan. Because Yanchuan combed her hair, the divine retribution was here. The divine retribution was targeted at Yanchuan. No. ZZ screamed at the sky. However, the divine retribution didn't stop. It seemed to be getting bigger and bigger, and the dark clouds were getting thicker. The thunder was getting louder and louder, as though the heavens were angry. Chapter 347. No, don't. ZZ said anxiously. Meow? Meow, who was sitting on the stone table not far away, immediately stood up. Meow let go of the supreme grade spirit stone in her hand and looked up at the sky. Meow? Meow? Meow roared at the sky. It was as if she wanted to use her aura to suppress the heavenly punishment, but she did not seem to have any aura at all. Meow? Meow quickly jumped onto Yanchuan's shoulder. Meow? Meow. The last meow of the cat suddenly soared into the sky, piercing through the clouds and mist, and instantly rushed into the tribulation clouds. Meow. His meow echoed in the dark clouds. However, it was this cute meow that caused the angry tribulation clouds to slowly stop roaring. Rumble. Meow. 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 Amidst the meow, the raging tribulation clouds strangely retreated. More and more of them retreated. The city defense array of Carefree City also slowly dissipated. Countless cultivators of Carefree City looked up at the sky in confusion. What kind of joke is this? It's gone just like that? It's not the tribulation? Did the heavens recognize the wrong person? The cultivators were conflicted. This was toying with their emotions. The tribulation clouds retreated in the blink of an eye. More and more dark clouds dispersed. Gradually they completely disappeared. The sky cleared up in the blink of an eye. Occasionally 2 birds would fly by. It was as if everyone had just had a dream. Purple Heart Villa. As the ones who had experienced it personally, Yanchuan, Meng Hongying, and ZZ felt it the most. They were about to explode, but a kitten's meow disappeared? Meng Hongying looked at Meow. This kitten? Meng Hongying's face stiffened. You're the kitten. Your whole family are kittens. Meow was angry again. Meng Hongying choked on Meow's scolding. Yanchuan looked at Meow with surprise in his eyes. It was an unexpected surprise. Fighting against the heavens? Where did Meow Meow come from? It's too fierce. Yanchuan had known that Meow Meow would be extraordinary since he'd picked it up from the Immortal's tomb, but this was too extraordinary. Meow, thank you. I still have 3 top-grade spirit stones in the shop. I'll give them to you together. ZZ said excitedly. Meow Meow Meow. Meow squinted its eyes in excitement. Meng Hongying frowned and said, ZZ, this is Yanchuan's luck. If you remove the mask then. ZZ turned its head and looked at Meng Hongying coldly. Meng Hongying stopped talking when she saw the anger in ZZ's eyes. Meng Hongying, I only allowed you to stay because of your bloodline. You've already angered me. If you say anything bad about Yanchuan again, I'll teach you a lesson. ZZ said coldly. Meng Hongying's face stiffened. Meng Hongying snorted at Yanchuan. She swung her ribbon and flew into the sky. She flew away in the blink of an eye. Mask? Can't I remove the mask? Yanchuan asked curiously. Zizi shook her head and said, "It's not that you can't remove it. The mask is used to suppress the curse. Once you remove it, the curse will be twice as strong." The Yan Chuan was interrupted by Zizi before he could say anything. "I don't want to remove it." "Don't remove it, okay?" Zizi asked. "Okay." Yan Chuan took a deep breath and nodded. "One day I'll remove the mask for you," Yan Chuan said seriously. "Okay." Zizi's eyes flashed with satisfaction. "But this time you came close to me and even combed my hair. Although Miao has solved the heavenly tribulation, there might still be bad luck. There might still be," Zizi said worriedly. Chapter 348. Inside King Yi Mu's residence. City Lord Jing Hong sent an invitation? King Yi Mu looked at the golden invitation in his hand in silence. A group of disciples stood in front of him. "Master, is this a welcoming banquet for Yan Chuan?" Lu Gang smiled. "Yes, it's just as you thought." King Yi Mu nodded. "Of course. When I was young I also used this method. The territory controlled by the Life League is a fat piece of meat. The Triyu sect is trying to force Yan Chuan to give up on this piece of meat." Lu Gang sneered. "Force Yan Chuan to give up? Is that possible?" Dan Qingzi frowned. "Nothing is impossible. Didn't the Triyu sect snatch the city lord's position in a fit of anger?" Lu Gang sneered. "Then will Yan Chuan give up?" Dan Qingzi asked curiously. "Probably not. Although I haven't interacted much with Yan Chuan, I know that he's not one to let himself be taken advantage of. Moreover, he has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. Let's watch them bite each other when the time comes." Lu Gang smiled. King Yi Mu looked at his new disciple, Lu Gang, with satisfaction. Originally, he only accepted Lu Gang as a disciple to make use of him. After all, Lu Gang's aptitude was too weak. But now it seemed that this disciple was quite useful. "All right, let's wait and see." King Yi Mu nodded. Noon of the second day. Yan Chuan brought Zizi, Huoguang, Lu Jin, Zhu Jiansheng, and the 7 swordsmen to the center of Carefree City. As for Miao, she was sleeping in the King of Hell's palace. They stood in a huge plaza and looked at the floating island a few hundred feet in the air. The island was surrounded by clouds and mist, making it look like a fairyland. "Mountains can float in the air?" Lu Jin exclaimed. "This is called the floating island. There's only one in Carefree City. Cost a lot to build this island. There are countless arrays on it, and it's also the place with the most yuan qi in Carefree City. It's also the city lord's mansion," Zhu Jiansheng explained. In front of everyone there was a man leading the way. "Everyone, the city lord and the 3 hall masters are already waiting for you at the city lord's mansion. Please go up." The man who led the way said respectfully. "Zhu Jiansheng?" Yan Chuan said indifferently. "Yes, Marshal Uncle, don't worry." Zhu Jiansheng immediately shouted. Zhu Jiansheng and the 7 swordsmen suddenly emitted a powerful aura, which formed a wall of qi under their feet. The qi wall slowly lifted everyone up into the air. Clouds surrounded them as if they were stepping on a cloud. It slowly flew towards the floating island city lord mansion. There were many palaces on the floating island. Laughter could be heard coming from the largest hall of the Ashoka Hall. "Haha, he's here. Yan Chuan doesn't even know how to fly. He still needs Zhu Jiansheng and the others to carry him. Ah. Play the music, continue, ha. Phew." Yan Chuan and the rest finally reached the floating island. Standing on a huge platform, they looked at the surrounding clouds and the splendid palaces. From here they could overlook the entire Carefree City. "The view here is really wide," Huoguang exclaimed. Yan Chuan slowly walked towards the center of the Ashoka Hall. There were originally many guards around the Ashoka Hall. Each of them was arrogant, as if they were prepared to take Yan Chuan down a notch. However, when Yan Chuan approached, the guards were dumbfounded. This was because there was a lady beside Yan Chuan. A lady that none of the guards dared to offend, Miss C. Why is Miss C here too? Chapter 349. Why didn't anyone tell me that Miss Z is coming? That Jinx is here. Senior brother, what should we do? Do we still need to block them? Block my ass. Block them if you want. The guards quickly moved aside and looked at ZZ and Yan Chuan in horror. Zhu Jiansheng and the rest were pleased with themselves. When they got closer, they heard the sound of musical instruments coming from Ashoka Hall. Before they even entered, they could see women in gauze dancing. ZZ snorted. She invited Yan Chuan to a banquet but did not come out to greet him. Instead, she enjoyed herself. It was obvious that she wanted to embarrass Yan Chuan. ZZ was naturally uncomfortable. "It's fine. Yan Chuan smiled. Yan Chuan was the first to step into the hall. The rest followed Yan Chuan into the hall. The singing and dancing continued. The people in the hall seemed to not see Yan Chuan and the rest as they weren't intoxicated by the singing and dancing. Yan Chuan entered the hall and stood there quietly. Then he took a look at everything in the hall. A man in a luxurious robe sat on the main seat in the north. Behind him stood a few subordinates. The one sitting on the main seat is the mayor, Zheng Hong. Zizi said. There were 2 rows of seats in the hall. There were 2 main seats in each row and a few secondary seats behind them. The one on the upper left is the High Serenity sect leader. The one on the upper right is the Low Serenity sect leader. The one on the lower left. Zizi explained. I know, King Mai. Yan Chuan smiled. The empty seats on the lower right should be ours. Zizi said. Yan Chuan nodded. Yan Chuan looked at the group of people. Everyone in the hall had noticed Yan Chuan as well. However, in order to embarrass Yan Chuan, no one said anything and pretended not to know. Zizi snorted and stepped forward. The group of dancers screamed and dodged. The dancers had naturally seen Zizi long ago, but they hadn't received any instructions. Now that they saw Zizi walking over, they naturally turned pale with fright and hurriedly dodged. With this dodge, everyone could no longer keep up the act. Haha, so it's Day Sex Peak Master Tian. Apologies for not going out to meet you. Forgive me, forgive me. Zheng Hong stood up and said with a smile. Yan Chuan smiled and said, I'll pardon you. Zheng Hong's face stiffened. Forgive me, I was just being polite. Do you really want to take advantage of me? Pardon me? So Miss Z is here too. Zheng Hong immediately turned his gaze to ZZ. Seeing that Zheng Hong deliberately ignored him again, Yan Chuan also smiled slightly and walked naturally to the empty seat at the side. ZZ followed beside Yan Chuan, while Zhu Jiansheng and the others walked to the second seat behind Yan Chuan. Zheng Hong asked for a snub, his expression extremely unsightly. Mayor, since you've invited me, I'll sit. Yan Chuan smiled and looked at Zheng Hong. Sit. Zheng Hong's face darkened. With a wave of his robe, Yan Chuan and ZZ sat in the main seats, while Zhu Jiansheng and the others sat in the second seat. Zheng Hong took a deep breath and slowly sat down. The faces of the sect leaders of the Yu sect also darkened. Only King Mai, who was sitting opposite Yan Chuan, looked indifferent. He drank his wine with surprise in his eyes. Yan Chuan is really bold and arrogant. Dan Qingzi whispered to his junior brothers. Yes, Master said that he's only at LV5 Essence State. Isn't he courting death by provoking the mayor like this? Who asked him to bring Miss Z with him? Who dares to touch him? But I don't know why Miss Z is here. Chapter 350. Whispers could be heard all around. Yan Chuan, may I know why Miss Z is traveling with you? Zheng Hong looked at Yan Chuan and asked. Everyone fell silent. Zizi is my wife. You didn't say on the invitation that I can't bring a family member, did you? Yan Chuan smiled. Ah. Everyone's expression changed. What? Yan Chuan's wife? How could this be? Everyone looked at Yan Chuan in shock. It was as if they had seen the most ridiculous thing in the world. Who would want this jinx? Ha ha, so it's Mrs. Yan. Congratulations. Zheng Hong raised his cup and laughed. ZZ felt a wave of comfort in her heart. After all, Yan Chuan said it in front of so many people. She raised her cup and returned Zheng Hong's toast. Yan Chuan, this is your first visit to Carefree City. It's only right for us 4 temple masters to hold a welcoming feast for you. Come, let's toast to Yan Chuan. Zheng Hong smiled. That's right. Good. The temple masters raised their cups. Yan Chuan smiled and raised his cup. If it's just a welcoming feast, then I, Yan Chuan, thank you very much. With that, everyone ended the toast. Haha, I've long heard that the Day Sex Peak Lord Tian is a young hero. During the battle of the demonic Wind Mountain Range, he single-handedly killed 6,000 Life Moon League disciples. Your name has spread far and wide. Zheng Hong laughed. City Lord is too polite. 6,000 elite realm cultivators. If City Lord wanted to kill them, wouldn't he be able to kill them with a flip of his hand? Yan Chuan smiled faintly. I've also heard that the Life Moon League was uprooted by your people? Zheng Hong chuckled. It's just luck. Yan Chuan smiled. Speaking of which, this Carefree City still has 1/6 of the Life Moon League's assets. Now that the Life Moon League has been uprooted, this assets will naturally be divided among the 5 sections. What do you think? Zheng Hong smiled. Sure enough, after 2 cups of wine, the real highlight of the show began. Whether it was King Yi Mu or the temple masters, all of them looked at Yan Chuan with rapt attention. Redistribution? City Lord's idea is good, but it is not easy to divide equally. What about the contracts that the Life Moon League and the city's cultivators made in the past? Yan Chuan said with a smile. Enrich? Yan Chuan was willing to share that territory? Everyone was overjoyed. Contract? Zheng Hong was slightly surprised. That's right. The duration of the contract is limited, and it's not easy to divide the gains and losses. In a short period of time, it's really hard to divide. I suggest that one sect be in charge first, and this sect be responsible for sorting out everything before dividing the contract. What do you think? Yan Chuan smiled. Overseer of a sect? Who do you think is in charge? Don't tell me it's your Dai sect. The sect master of the Shangyo sect said coldly. No, the Dai sect isn't good at this. I think it's best for the demon-controlling sect to take charge first. Yan Chuan smiled. Ah? Everyone in the hall was stunned. Whoever controls it first will have the advantage. Yan Chuan actually let go of the Life League's territory? King Yi Mu was also stunned. Did this meat pie fall into his lap? What do you think, King Yi Mu? Yan Chuan looked at King Yi Mu with a smile. King Yi Mu took a deep breath. Of course he had to agree. If he gave a false report, it was very likely that he could take over half of the Life League's territory. In fact, he could even refuse to give it up in the future. King Yi Mu was about to agree. Master, you can't. Lu Gang quickly stepped forward and pulled King Yi Mu back. King Yi Mu looked at Lu Gang with furrowed brows. Yan Chuan also looked at Lu Gang with a slightly surprised expression. Master. Lu Gang shook his head again with a serious expression. King Yi Mu's expression changed. After all, it wasn't easy to spit out a piece of meat that fell into his mouth. He took a few deep breaths and shook his head again. No, I don't have the time to take care of it. King Yi Mu immediately noticed that the gazes of the sect masters around him softened slightly. Softened? King Yi Mu immediately broke out in cold sweat. He had almost lost his mind just now. Since you don't have the time, I think? Zheng Hong was about to say something. Then let the High Serenity sect take care of it for now. Yan Chuan smiled again. Everyone was confused again. What was Yan Chuan planning? Pushing out the Life League's territory? Was he crazy? King Yi Mu also looked at Yan Chuan with a confused expression. Sect master of the High Serenity sect, what do you think? I'll have to trouble you. Yan Chuan smiled. Okay, no problem. The High Serenity sect master agreed immediately. Zheng Hong and the High Serenity sect master frowned, but they didn't object in the end. After all, the High Serenity sect was on their side. However, they were even more confused as they looked at Yan Chuan. Could it be that Yan Chuan was scared? Chapter 351. The hall masters stared blankly at Yan Chuan. They couldn't figure out Yan Chuan's intention. The Life League was uprooted by Yan Chuan. According to the rules of the cultivation world, Yan Chuan had the most authority over the Life League's properties. Previously, they had discussed for a long time how to make Yan Chuan give up the authority over the Life League's properties. But who would have thought that Yan Chuan was such a spendthrift? 1/6 of the Carefree City's tax revenue was enough to nourish a large sect. Give up? Throw it to the High Nether sect? Zheng Hong was originally prepared to launch an attack, but it was as if he had punched cotton. The Dai sect is indeed generous. Let's toast to Hall Master Yan. Zheng Hong laughed dryly. Great. Everyone raised their cups again. Yan Chuan smiled faintly and took a sip. Yan Chuan directly revealed the Life League's properties, making Zheng Hong's prepared speech useless. The atmosphere in the hall became awkward. Mayor, this wine seems to be of average quality. Yan Chuan said faintly. Oh? Zheng Hong didn't understand. It's a pity that it's not as good as the wine ZZ brought last time. ZZ, is that wine from your drunken Immortal Inn? Yan Chuan turned to look at ZZ. Yes. ZZ nodded. Yan Chuan looked at Zheng Hong again and said, Mayor, since the matter is out in the open, thank you for your hospitality today. I will also take my leave. Everyone in the hall was stunned. How long has it been? 2 cups of wine and he's leaving? Yan Chuan is leaving? This banquet is too short. Of course, everyone was still shocked by the fact that Yan Chuan had given up the Life Alliance's property. They hadn't come back to their senses yet. The sect master of the Low Nether sect suddenly said, the banquet has just begun. If Lord Tianfeng leaves now, wouldn't that be saying that we didn't treat him well? Then what do you want? Yan Chuan smiled. Why don't we get someone to join in the drinking? The sect master of the underworld sect laughed. Oh. Yan Chuan asked calmly. The sect master of the Serenity sect gave a look to the people behind him. Immediately, a black-robed man walked out. I am Qin Lu, a third-generation disciple of the Serenity sect. I heard that Hall Master Yen killed 6,000 elite realms from the Sun Moon Alliance. I would like to ask Hall Master Yen for advice. The black-robed man said. Yan Chuan narrowed his eyes. He looked at the people around him. Did they send the elite realms to test him? The Hall Masters looked at them calmly and no one stopped them. After all, everyone wanted to know whether Yan Chuan's legend was true or not. Moreover, they could also test how powerful Yan Chuan was. Even if Chen Lu could not defeat him, the Divine Realm warriors could save him. Huoguang. Yan Chuan smiled faintly. Huoguang stepped forward. Tianfeng Day Sect. I am an anonymous outer disciple. Huoguang said. The Hall Masters frowned but did not say anything. You. Chen Lu said coldly. LV5 of the Elite Realm. Huoguang. Huoguang said solemnly. Chen Lu showed a hint of disdain. LV9 of the Elite Realm, Chen Lu. Please? Huoguang shouted. Come on. Chen Lu said disdainfully. Bang. Huoguang's aura suddenly surged. Army destroyer stabilizing the central plains. Huoguang suddenly thrust his spear. Huoguang instantly transformed into a gigantic phantom of a ferocious general. An indomitable aura gushed forth. The long spear in his hand was imbued with the might of a heaven-tier cultivation art, capable of stabilizing the central plains. Although his cultivation was a little lower, his strength soared to the extreme in an instant. Chen Lu's face changed as if he saw a huge mountain pressing down on him. Chapter 352. Impossible? Chen Lu raised his sword to block the attack. Kill? Huoguang's murderous aura exploded. Boom. Chen Lu was instantly flung out and slammed into the door of the main hall. Chen Lu spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. Are you kidding me? Is this LV5 of the profound state? He is only at the early stage of the Qi state. Chen Lu had a lot to say but he was speechless. Defeated in one move? The faces of all the hall masters trembled. They were going to test Yan Chuan and suppress Yan Chuan's arrogance so that he could keep a low profile in the future. You want to challenge my king with such strength? What a disgrace. Huoguang said without holding back. Bastard, who told you to hurt my disciple? Another black-robed man said coldly. Palace Lord, is this your disciple? Yan Chuan said calmly. The Palace Lord's face darkened. Chen Lu represented the Palace Lord's reputation, but he was humiliated too quickly. Chen Lu is not as strong as you, don't be rude. The Palace Lord said. Yes. Qin Shang frowned and nodded. Qin Shang looked at his injured disciple and said, I am Qin Shang, a second-generation disciple of the Palace Lord. I heard that Palace Lord Yen killed hundreds of Qi state cultivators in the Demon Wind Mountains. I don't believe it and would like to challenge Palace Lord Yen. Let me. Huoguang said with a cold snort. Qin Shang looked at Huoguang coldly and said, I know your strength. You are close to the Qi state. You are no match for me. I only asked Palace Lord Yen to challenge me, not you. Huoguang said angrily. I'll do it. Jiao Jianxing immediately stood up. I said, I only want to challenge Palace Lord Yen. It has nothing to do with you, Jiao Jianxing. Qin Shang continued. Qi state challenge? I will challenge you. Zizi said angrily. Qin Shang's face froze. Challenge ZZ? What a joke. No, I will only seek guidance from Hall Master Yen. Qin Shang shouted again. ZZ, sit down. Yan Chuan smiled. Okay. ZZ nodded obediently. Looking at the wine in his cup, Yan Chuan sighed softly, this wine tastes really bad. Zheng Hong's face stiffened. He was angry but he didn't say anything. Now that Qin Shang wanted to test Yan Chuan's strength, he would naturally let him do as he wished. Yan Chuan put down his wine cup and said, Qin Shang, right? You're asking me for advice? Yes. Hall Master Yen, please use your sword. Qin Shang said solemnly. Draw my sword? You should know that I don't like to fight. When I use the Jade Emperor's sword, there must be blood. If I attack, people will die. Yan Chuan said indifferently. Qin Shang's face froze. He looked at the Underworld Sect master. Seeing the Underworld Sect master nod, he mustered his courage and said, "Even if I die, Qin Shang has no regrets. Hall Master Yen, please advise me." Yen Chuan sneered. "Hall Master Yen, please advise me." Qin Shang shouted again. "All right, if you want to die, I'll grant you your wish." Yen Chuan stood up slowly. "Yen Chuan," Zizi said worriedly. "No worries." Yen Chuan shook his head. The underworld sect master clenched his fists. He was testing Yen Chuan. As long as Qin Shang showed signs of being defeated, the underworld sect master would definitely save him. Yen Chuan walked slowly to the center of the hall and looked at Qin Shang, who was at the door. "I'm going to draw my sword. Watch carefully." Yen Chuan sneered. "Come," Qin Shang said solemnly. Yen Chuan's eyes widened and a fierce aura exploded. The emperor's will broke through the gate and rushed towards Qin Shang. In Qin Shang's eyes, he seemed to see a huge golden dragon rushing out from Yen Chuan's eyes. Chapter 353. Ong? The golden dragon roared as its dragon might soared into the sky. Once the emperor golden dragon's will appeared, it was as if the heavenly might had rushed into one's mind. Boom. Qin Shang's mind buzzed as his consciousness went blank. Rumble? His mind went blank. Qin Shang was a Qi realm expert, not a strength realm mortal. Although Yen Chuan's will was strong, it couldn't shatter a person's soul like before. At most, it could only stun him for 2 breaths. However, in a battle between experts, these 2 breaths were enough to kill. Who? Yen Chuan stepped forward. Xing? The Jade Emperor's sword instantly cut Qin Shang in half like a puppet. Boom. Qin Shang's body exploded as his organs splattered all over the ground. His blood flowed out as he died a horrible death. All the experts in the hall were at a loss. How is this possible? Is Qin Shang crazy? Why didn't he dodge? Why didn't he move? I thought Qin Shang would dodge. Is Qin Shang stupid? Qin Shang is dead. Everyone in the hall was confused. Yen Chuan. The sect master of Shio sect stood up and shouted angrily. The sect master of Shio sect wanted to save Qin Shang, but only after the battle. Who would have thought that Qin Shang would die so directly? Yen Chuan ignored the sect master of Shio sect. After all, Qin Shang asked for death in front of everyone. He couldn't blame anyone. However, he died too quickly. Zizi, let's go. The wine here is too disgusting. Let's go to Drunken Immortal Tavern for some good wine. Yen Chuan smiled at Zizi. Zizi nodded and followed Yen Chuan. Once Yen Chuan left, Zhu Jiansheng, Huo Guang, Lu Jin, and the 7 swordsmen naturally followed. They didn't care about the others in Ashoka Hall and left directly. Everyone in the hall was left in silence. Looking at the internal organs scattered all over the ground and Yen Chuan's departing figure, Zheng Hong felt as if Yen Chuan had slapped him in the face and left without a second thought. The banquet ended on a sour note. Zhu Jiansheng and the others used White Cloud to carry Yen Chuan and his group off the floating island and flew to a mountain peak in the distance. Zhu Jiansheng looked back regretfully. "Martial uncle, are we just going to hand over the Life Alliance's assets?" Zhu Jiansheng asked, feeling a little indignant. "That's right, King. Why did you give it to the High Serenity sect?" Huo Guang was also confused. Yen Chuan turned his head to look at the floating island and asked with a smile, "Huo Guang, what do you think of this floating island?" "Supreme Highland," Huo Guang said after some thought. "In at most 1 or 2 years we will be living there," Yen Chuan said with a smile. Zhu Jiansheng was surprised. "Don't worry, I don't care about the Life Alliance's assets." Yen Chuan shook his head and said softly, "Then what do you want?" Zizi asked curiously. "I want the entire Carefree City." Yen Chuan took a deep breath and said indifferently, "What?" The 3 swordsmen were surprised. "Let's go to the Drunken Immortal Inn for a drink." Yen Chuan smiled. Carefree Hall. After sending off King Mu and the others from the demon-controlling sect, the sect master of the Triple Serenity sect fell silent. "What do you think?" Zheng Hong asked in a low voice. "Yen Chuan is a tough nut to crack." "Bastard." The sect master of the Triple Serenity sect said coldly. "Since we didn't find anything, let's wait and see. There will be plenty of time in the future." The sect master of the Triple Serenity sect said. Zheng Hong nodded. "The most important thing now is the heavenly wrath from yesterday. Elder Yu from the Great Winged Heaven School has urged us more than once. Continue to investigate," Zheng Hong said again. Chapter 354. Inside King Yi Mu's residence. King Yi Mu sat in the main seat with his disciples on both sides. Lu Gang, why did you stop Master? Why did you stop Yan Chuan from handing over the Life Alliance's properties? Do you know how much you've caused the demon-controlling sect to suffer? Eldest senior brother Dan Qingzi shouted. Dan Qingzi? King Yi Mu stopped Dan Qingzi and looked at Lu Gang. Lu Gang, speak. King Yi Mu looked at Lu Gang. Disciple instinctively felt that there was danger in this place, but Disciple wasn't sure. Lu Gang said. You stopped Master because you weren't sure? Dan Qingzi asked. Let him speak. King Yi Mu shook his head. Thank you for your trust, Master. On the way back, Disciple realized that this place isn't just dangerous, it's extremely dangerous. Lu Gang said. Oh? The Life Alliance's properties aren't a piece of meat, but a source of disaster. Master, think about it. This piece of meat should have been Yan Chuan's. Now that he's given it to Master, what will the Triyu sect think of it? Will they allow Master to swallow it? Lu Gang asked solemnly. Will the Triyu sect target the demon-controlling sect? That's right, Lu Gang said in a low voice. The Triyu sect is like 3 vicious dogs against the demon-controlling sect. If they really target the demon-controlling sect, the Great River sect will just sit back and watch the tigers fight. Master, what are you thinking? King Yi Mu's pupils shrank. What? Dan Qingzi was confused. Destroy the sect. Lu Gang said. What? That's impossible. Dan Qingzi exclaimed. Why not? The Triyu sect can't get a share of the Life Alliance's properties, but they can get 2 once the demon-controlling sect is destroyed. Why not? Lu Gang sneered. King Yi Mu's face darkened. But Yan Chuan gave this piece of meat to the Triyu sect. Dan Qingzi said with a frown. No, not the Triyu sect but the Shangyo sect. Although the Triyu sect has a close relationship, there are still 3 sections. Senior brother, didn't you see what happened in the main hall today? Yan Chuan gave the benefits to the High Nether sect, but ruthlessly slapped the faces of the Nether sect and the Central Nether sect. Lu Gang said solemnly. Why is that? Dan Qingzi frowned. Sowing discord within the Triyu sect? We'll split into 3 sects. King Wild narrowed his eyes. Master is wise. Lu Gang immediately said. There was a heavy silence in the hall. Thinking of all this, everyone felt a chill run down their spines. What is Yan Chuan trying to do? Dan Qingzi asked with an ugly expression. I don't know either. However, it's best for us to bide our time and not fight for it. Let's see what they do. Lu Gang said in a low voice. This Yan Chuan isn't simple. King Yi Mu said in a low voice. Also, eldest senior brother, third senior brother, it's best for you to forget the grudge between you and Yan Chuan. Although the Dai sect doesn't have many disciples, that's only because of Yan Tao's death. The Dai sect still has many high-ranking disciples. Our demon-controlling sect can't compare to the Dai sect or the Triyu sect, so we're the weakest. Now that the Dai sect and the Triyu sect are fighting, it's best for us to bide our time. Lu Gang said solemnly. Dan Qingzi and third senior brother raised their eyebrows. That's right. If the 2 of you can't control yourselves, return to the sect first. King Yi Mu said in a low voice. Yes, Master, don't worry. We will definitely control ourselves. Dan Qingzi immediately said. Chapter 355. Carefree City. On the bustling streets, large numbers of cultivators came and went. Here, all the cultivators walked on the ground, abiding by the rules of Carefree City. In the middle of the bustling streets, there was a huge 5-story restaurant. It was the famous drunken Immortal restaurant. Yan Chuan and ZZ sat on the 5th floor, enjoying the scenery of the streets and the hustle and bustle of the main hall downstairs. Some rogue cultivators sat together, chatting and singing. It was a place of great joy. Not far away, Ho Guang and the rest were sitting. Yan Chuan and ZZ sat opposite each other. There were 10 jugs of fine wine on the table. ZZ poured a cup for Yan Chuan. Yan Chuan tasted them one by one. This wine is not bad. It tastes sweet, but there is a faint bitterness in the aftertaste. What is it called? Yan Chuan put down a cup. This is called Yearning Tears. ZZ explained. Yearning Tears? Yearning is sweet, yearning is bitter. What a good Yearning Tears. Yan Chuan nodded. How does Martial Uncle know everything? I have been drinking for so long, why can't I feel the faint bitterness? Zhu Jiansheng rubbed his nose and said bitterly. Martial Uncle is a person with good taste. Senior brother, you are drinking like a bull. Zhu Jiansheng is just a person who drinks a lot. He doesn't know wine. The 3 swordsmen interrupted. I don't know wine? Zhu Jiansheng glared. The 2 brothers started to play. While Yan Chuan was tasting the wine, there were sounds of whistling coming from downstairs. You guys don't know how powerful that pig demon was? We were about to be finished, but suddenly there was a release of arrows. 1,000 shooting sun arrows killed the pig demon instantly. Too beautiful. We have heard of so many scams. You guys got lucky. However, you haven't told us who helped you. You guys definitely didn't expect him to be Blood Demon. Blood Demon Yan Chuan. Do you guys know? The ferocious person who killed 6,000 alone in Demon Wind Mountain Range. Hearing the whistling from downstairs, Yan Chuan was slightly taken aback. He lowered his head and saw the mercenaries he had met on the way to Carefree City. The leader of the mercenaries, Mu Qianli, laughed as he drank his wine. He stared at his subordinates and continued to brag. Yan Chuan's expression changed slightly. He looked down and said to Hua Guang, "Invite Mu Qianli up." Yes. Hua Guang quickly went downstairs. Everyone didn't understand what Yan Chuan meant, but they didn't ask. Soon the answer was revealed. Soon Mu Qianli walked upstairs cautiously. He saw ZZ at a glance. Mu Qianli exclaimed. When he was suddenly invited up by Hua Guang, Mu Qianli knew that it was Yan Chuan. He didn't know how to face him, but when he suddenly saw the jinx ZZ, he immediately panicked. "Greetings to Senior and Miss Z." Mu Qianli said immediately. "Don't be so reserved, just stand there." Yan Chuan said with a smile. "Yes, thank you, Senior." Mu Qianli stood 20 feet away. "Senior, may I know what instructions do you have for me?" Mu Qianli asked immediately. "I heard you say that you can earn 50 inferior grade spirit stones in a month by risking your life?" Yan Chuan asked. "Yes." "Then how is this number among the mercenaries?" Yan Chuan asked with a smile. Hearing this, Mu Qianli immediately revealed a proud expression. "Senior, I'm not bragging, but my number is definitely one of the best among all the mercenaries. Many cultivators can't even earn spirit stones in a month and will even lose a lot." "Oh?" Yan Chuan smiled. Of course. It's just that we are small itinerant cultivators and can't be compared to the Day sect," Mu Qianli said humbly. Chapter 356. If I give you 1 mid-grade spirit stone a month to hire you, would you be willing? Yan Chuan smiled. 1 mid-grade spirit stone is equivalent to 100 low-grade spirit stones. "Senior, are you joking?" Mu Qianli was surprised. "I'm not joking. Would you be willing?" Yan Chuan asked. "Yes, of course," Mu Qianli said excitedly. "However, Senior, I still have a few dozen brothers to eat with us. Can they?" Mu Qianli said with anticipation. Looking at Mu Qianli, Yan Chuan smiled and said, "How can a few dozen be enough?" "Then how many do you want?" Mu Qianli was slightly stunned. "At least tens of thousands." Yan Chuan smiled and said. Mu Qianli was surprised. It was as if he didn't believe Yan Chuan. Not only Mu Qianli but Zhu Jiansheng and the rest also looked at Yan Chuan in confusion. What kind of joke was this? Tens of thousands? Day sect originally only had 4,000 people, and Tianfeng added 3,000 at one go. Now he wanted to add tens of thousands? "I'm serious. I'll have to trouble you with something," Yan Chuan said solemnly. "Senior, please speak." Mu Qianli immediately said. "Help me inform all the mercenary groups in the city that King of Hell's Palace is recruiting. The more the better. Ordinary soldiers will be paid 1 mid-grade spirit stone a month. Promotion by 1 rank will be paid 10 times. Yan Chuan said in a low voice. "Really?" Mu Qianli was shocked. Promotion by 1 rank would be paid 10 times? Wouldn't that be 10 mid-grade spirit stones? If he wanted to be promoted, wouldn't it be 1 high-grade spirit stone? Mu Qianli's breathing was a little hurried. "Lu Jin, give him 1 high-grade spirit stone for operation," Yan Chuan said. "Yes." Lu Jin immediately took out a high-grade spirit stone. Mu Qianli held the spirit stone in disbelief. "King of Hell's Palace? Where is King of Hell's Palace?" Mu Qianli asked. "It's Carefree City, the original Day Hall," Lu Jin explained. "Oh." Mu Qianli immediately nodded. 3 days later, the King of Hell's Palace will be recruiting mercenaries. The minimum requirement is 2 years. There are so many people in Carefree City. If you recruit 10,000 people, you will be rewarded with a high-grade spirit stone. If you recruit 20,000 people, you will be given double the reward. If you recruit 30,000, you will be given double the reward. And so on and so forth. Yan Chuan laughed. Yes. Thank you, Senior, thank you, Senior," Mu Qianli said excitedly. Mu Qianli had an account in his heart. 1 high-grade spirit stone for 10,000 people. If he were to recruit 50,000 people, wouldn't that be 16 high-grade spirit stones? That was an astronomical figure that he didn't even dare to imagine in the past. Go. Yes. Senior, don't worry. 3 days later, at the King of Hell's palace, I will definitely summon over half of the mercenaries in the city. Mu Qianli excitedly retreated. The moment Mu Qianli left, everyone started shouting. Martial Uncle, what do you mean by this? That's right, Martial Uncle. Why do you want to recruit tens of thousands of people? No matter how big your family is, it won't be enough. That's right. My king, why do you want to recruit so many people? Huo Guang didn't understand. It's time to recruit. Tens of thousands of people? Is that a lot? Yan Chuan smiled faintly. Tens of thousands of people? Was that a lot? The faces of Zhu Jiansheng and the rest turned black. What a joke. This wasn't a lot? Do you have enough spirit stones? I still have some. ZZ immediately said. Looking at ZZ, Yan Chuan smiled and nodded. Seeing Yan Chuan nodding, a smile flashed across ZZ's eyes. If Yan Chuan didn't want it, ZZ would feel uncomfortable in her heart. Huo Guang, the newly recruited soldiers will fill up the first legion. Do you understand? Yan Chuan said faintly. Yes, my king, don't worry. 3,000 people and 30,000 people were two completely different concepts. An army of tens of thousands of cultivators. Huo Guang's heart was surging with excitement just thinking about it. Chapter 357. Day Sect, Main Peak, Great River Hall. The great swordsman rushed back to meet Feng Tairan and the 3 peak masters. At this moment, the hall was silent. How many days has it been? This Yan Chuan is too troublesome. Gao Bufan said with a strange expression. Recruiting? Tens of thousands of people? Feng Qianyu also had a strange expression. Mo Wuhui did not say anything. Feng Tairan frowned. Sect Master, this is what happened. Although this is Martial Uncle's matter, the commotion this time is too big. Therefore I came back to report it. As for the details, Sect Master should decide personally. The great swordsman said respectfully. Sect Master? Everyone looked at Feng Tairan. Feng Tairan took a deep breath and said, My injuries are almost healed. Let me handle this matter. Yes. The 3 peak masters nodded. Let's go. I'll go with you to Carefree City. Feng Tairan smiled bitterly. Carefree City, King Mai's residence. Master, the news has spread throughout Carefree City. King of Hell's palace is recruiting mercenaries. Dan Qingzi frowned. What a huge commotion. Lu Gang frowned. King Mai looked at Lu Gang. Master, I only guessed that Yan Chuan would play some tricks. Who would have thought that there would be such a huge commotion? Recruiting mercenaries? What is he trying to do? Lu Gang was puzzled. Second brother, fourth brother, go take a look. King Mai said to the other 2 disciples. Yes, master. The 2 of them immediately left the hall. Carefree City, King of Hell's palace. At the foot of the mountain, a large number of cultivators gathered. Why can't I? Why does it have to be 2 years? Move aside, don't block the way, move aside. We still have to sign up, move aside. A large number of mercenaries signed up. Lu Jin led 3,000 members of the embroidered uniform army and screened the large number of cultivators who signed up. On the mountain, King of Hell's palace. Only Yan Chuan and Huo Guang were in the halls. Your Majesty, it's already the 5th day. As of today, we've already recruited 35,000 people. Huo Guang said excitedly. Huo Guang was certain that he was the most accomplished person in the history of the Huo family. Tomorrow is the last day. We can probably reach 40,000 people. Yan Chuan nodded with satisfaction. Yes, almost all of these mercenaries are in the Essence realm. The highest among them is at LV9. Huo Guang said. So, from now on you have to work even harder. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Yes, Your Majesty, please rest assured. Huo Guang said solemnly. Do you know how to deal with these people? Yan Chuan asked. Huo Guang nodded. This subject understands. I will break up the small groups and reorganize them. Yan Chuan nodded with satisfaction. Your Majesty, do you have any orders for the recruitment of 40,000 people? Huo Guang asked. Reorganize the First Legion. In 3 days we will leave the city and head for the Demon Wind Mountain Range. Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. Demon Wind Mountain Range? Yao Qianshang cleansed the Demon Wind Mountain Range once and took away all the Emptiness Realm monsters and more than half of the Immortal Realm monster kings. With an army of 40,000 people, they will be able to do whatever they want. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Yes, Your Majesty. I will give you 1 year. In 1 year these rogue cultivators will be trained well. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. 1 year? Don't worry, Your Majesty. In 1 year there will be strict military discipline. I will maintain the morale of the soldiers. Huo Guang said with certainty. In 1 year I will have great use for you. Don't disappoint me. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Chapter 358. Yes. I will train in the Devilish Wind Mountain range for a year. At the same time I promise that I will reach the Qi state in a year. I will not disappoint my king. Huo Guang said confidently. You have the army breaking will. You will be able to reach the Qi state if you lead 40,000 soldiers to kill monsters in the Devilish Wind Mountain range. Work hard. Our journey has just begun. Yin Chuan said with a smile. Yes. By the way, you can kill and eat all monsters except for the tiger tribe. Yin Chuan said after thinking for a while. Huo Guang thought about Miao and immediately understood. I will pay attention. Huo Guang nodded. Go and familiarize yourself with the First Legion. Yin Chuan said with a smile. Okay. Huo Guang nodded and left the hall. 3 days later, outside the King of Hell's palace, Yin Chuan stood on top of the mountain and looked down at the 40,000 soldiers. After 3 days of reorganization, the 40,000 soldiers were starting to take shape. Behind Yin Chuan stood Lu Jin, the 7 swordsmen, Zhu Jiansheng, Feng Tairan, and Duan Sanshu. Looking down at the 40,000 soldiers, except for Lu Jin, they all had a bitter look on their faces. How dare you? Feng Tairan said with a bitter smile. Yin Chuan smiled and turned to Duan Sanshu. Duan Sanshu, are your injuries better? Yin Chuan asked. Almost. Thanks to you last time in the Devilish Wind Mountain range. Duan Sanshu said with a smile. There is something I need your help with. Yin Chuan said. Go ahead. Duan Sanshu said immediately. Duan Sanshu did not decline the favor of saving his life. I want you to protect Huo Guang for a year. Yin Chuan said with a smile. A year? They are going to the Devilish Wind Mountain range? Yin Chuan said with a smile. Demon Wind Mountain range again? Duan Sanshu's expression changed slightly. Aha, you don't usually have to do anything. In fact, the strongest experts in the Demon Wind Mountain range are only a few at the godly realm. You just have to protect Huo Guang. Yin Chuan said with certainty. All right. Duan Sanshu nodded. After saying this, Duan Sanshu flew down the mountain. Yin Chuan lightly waved his hand downward. Below him, the First Legion commander Huo Guang immediately accepted the order. All troops, follow me out of the city. The army of 40,000 roared in response. Rumble. Rumble. The 40,000-strong army marched out of the King of Hell's palace and into the city, heading out of the city. Wherever they passed, they turned into smoke and rolled away. On this day, the entire city was alarmed by Yin Chuan's extravagance. Everyone stopped what they were doing and observed this strange army of 40,000. Yin Chuan is crazy. He recruited so many mercenaries. Yeah, it won't be long before Yin Chuan is eaten up. 40,000 troops, 40,000 mouths. Where are they going? How would I know? While the cultivators were discussing, King Yi Mu, Zheng Hong, and the others waited in silence. No one could see through Yin Chuan's plan. What was the use of these low-level cultivators? An army? In the eyes of the godly realm experts, an army was the most useless thing. With their godly realm cultivation, they could take the head of a general in an army of 10,000. Once the leader died, the army would scatter. What was the point? Yin Chuan stood in front of the King of Hell's palace, watching the First Legion leave. The first army was officially formed. Yin Chuan, 40,000 troops. That's thousands of high-grade spirit stones a year. Can you afford it? Feng Tairan smiled bitterly. That's why I came to you. But before that, I want to ask you for a few more people. Yin Chuan smiled. Great swordsman, second swordsman. It's the 2 of them. Yin Chuan laughed. What orders do you have for us? Great swordsman asked curiously. Yes, martial uncle. I want to uproot the 3 Serenities sect. Yin Chuan said coldly. What? Feng Tairan was shocked. Impossible. The 3 Serenities sect is stronger than my Day sect at its peak. How can it be uprooted? Feng Tairan couldn't believe it. Who says I can't? Yin Chuan smiled coldly. Chapter 359. King of Hell's Hall. at a stone table in front of the hall. Yan Chuan invited Feng Tairan to sit down and explained his plan in detail. Originally, there were 6 great sects in the worry-free city. My Great River sect used to be the biggest sect. Even now, we still have 13 godly realm experts in our first generation. However, most of them are wandering outside. In the vicinity of the Great River sect, there are only me, the 3 Peak Masters, and Duan San Shu. Only 5 people. Feng Tairan said. I understand, Dai sect only has 5 Immortal realm experts. What about the others? Yan Chuan poured a cup of wine and asked with a smile. 3 Serenity sect has 5 Immortal realm experts each, and all of them are in their own sects, 15 in total. While Imperial Monster sect has 4 Immortal realm experts, how can my Dai sect uproot them? Feng Tairan was confused. That's why I came to you. They have 19 Immortal realm experts? Why don't you separate them? Yan Chuan laughed. Oh, I've studied the Dai sect's defensive formation. Why not put it in Carefree City? Yan Chuan laughed. Put it here? How can that be? That's my Dai sect's most sensitive secret. Even in the sect, it's not fully opened. How can we set it up here? Once the other 4 sects figure it out, my Dai sect's last line of defense will be gone. Feng Tairan shook his head. Aha, no, the last line of defense? Why do we need to defend? Uproot these sects, what else do we need to defend against? Moreover, the best defense is not these formations but strength. With strength, who would dare to invade? Yan Chuan said solemnly. Feng Tairan's eyes narrowed. He looked pensive. Dai sect's defensive formation covers Carefree City. Not only us, you also need to persuade the other 4 sects to set up their strongest formations above Carefree City. Let Carefree City have the strongest defense. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Why is that? Feng Tairan was puzzled. The strongest defense is not only for external defense but also for internal defense. When the time is right, we will surround the city and kill all the heroes. Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. You want to use Carefree City to trap and kill them? Feng Tairan asked in surprise. That's right. Yan Chuan said solemnly. But, Feng Tairan frowned. Don't worry, I've already buried the catalyst. When the time comes, it will draw out all the Divine Realm experts. Yan Chuan said with a smile. You're really crazy? Feng Tairan said with a complicated expression. Oh? But I like it, haha. Feng Tairan suddenly laughed. Yan Chuan's expression relaxed slightly. I know. Since you said that, you must have a plan. Tell me, what do you want to do? Feng Tairan said with a smile. The time will be about a year from now. Therefore, the first thing to do is to send the disciples of the sect to secretly recall all the first-generation disciples. We have to go secretly. Yan Chuan laughed. There are still 8 first-generation disciples outside, but we might not be able to recall all of them. I don't know where some first-generation disciples have gone. Feng Tairan said with a frown. Bring back as many as you can. When the time comes, say that the sect's survival is at stake and they must return. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Feng Tairan nodded. The second thing is, contact the sect leaders of the various sects and set up a formation for Carefree City. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Set up a formation? What's the reason? A few days ago, thunder rumbled in Carefree City, and the heavenly punishment almost fell. This is the reason. In order to better protect Carefree City, this excuse is enough. Yan Chuan said confidently. But they can't be as selfless as me. They can't possibly set up all their defensive formations. Feng Tairan said after some thought. Chapter 360. Isn't that better? Yan Chuan smiled. Ah, you're right. Ah. Feng Tairan laughed. But when the time comes, even with the formation, the Dai sect will have a hard time. Compared to the 4 sects, we're still far behind. Feng Tairan said in a deep voice. Far behind? Don't worry. I'll find a way. Yan Chuan smiled. Oh? Feng Tairan asked curiously. Well, we'll know in a few days. We'll see. Yan Chuan said. Feng Tairan nodded. Also, the spiritual stones from the Life League are only enough to support the 40,000 troops for a few months. I'm recruiting for 2 years. The rest of the spiritual stones will be collected from the Dai sect. Yan Chuan smiled. I knew you were waiting here. 40,000 troops and 400 upper spiritual stones a month. This number is too terrifying. Why did you think of recruiting so many troops? Feng Tairan frowned. I have my own uses. Moreover, I think it's too little. Yan Chuan shook his head. Too little? Feng Tairan was speechless. Don't worry. After a year, Carefree City will be ours. By then, the spiritual stones won't be so tight. Yin Chuan said. Feng Tairan was speechless. All right, I'll give you the spiritual stones. Feng Tairan nodded. Sect leader, you're so generous. Let me toast you. Yin Chuan raised his cup and smiled. Feng Tairan smiled bitterly and drank with Yin Chuan. It's not that I'm generous. I think highly of you. Feng Tairan smiled. Oh, I understand. The strength of a sect doesn't just depend on experts. It also depends on people with great courage. Although you're young, I can see great courage in you. Even your father can't compare to you. I believe in you. When you reach the immortal state, I'll pass the position of sect leader to you. Feng Tairan said solemnly. Pass it on to me? Yin Chuan was slightly surprised. Wasn't it a little too early to say that? Yes, I'll pass it on to you. I don't know why you've recruited so many soldiers, but I know you must have a plan. Your vision is further than mine. The Day sect will only flourish in your hands. I'll protect it for you. Feng Tairan said solemnly. Yin Chuan looked at Feng Tairan and fell silent. In the end he nodded. The two of them no longer spoke. Instead, they sat in front of the Yama Palace, surveying the entire worry-free city, Beijing Xinglua Villa, the valley within the valley. Grandpa, demonic beast, so many demonic beasts. Yi Lin shouted excitedly. Yi Feng smiled and said, take these things and leave first. Don't disturb me. Okay. Yi Lin retreated excitedly. There were only Yi Feng and Lu Jin in the gazebo by the lake. Lu Jin looked at a chessboard in the pavilion. Is this the first chessboard that the king played? Lu Jin asked curiously. That's right. These days I've been studying this chessboard whenever I have free time. The king's chessboard is filled with the aura of a sovereign. Incredible. Yi Feng exclaimed. The Grand Preceptor must have been working hard these days. Lu Jin said with a smile. It's just some trivial matters on my side. How have you been, king? Yi Feng asked. Of course. The king has already taken root in the cultivation world, and his name has shaken the entire cultivation world. The battle at the Demon Wind Mountain Range. Lu Jin didn't hide anything and gave a rough summary of what had happened these days. The world of cultivators is really colorful. Yi Feng exclaimed. Yeah. The king's first army now has an army of 40,000 cultivators. These days are really like a dream. Lu Jin said with a smile. Chapter 361. Does the king have any orders? Yi Feng frowned slightly. This time I've purchased a large amount of cultivation manuals, pills and artifacts from Carefree City. King said that you'll be in charge of everything. If possible, it's fine to spread the cultivation manuals to everyone. Lu Jin said solemnly. Cultivate the entire population? Yi Feng's expression changed. Yes. As for how to spread it and how to control it, it is still up to you to decide. The king said that in a few years he will return to establish a country, so that you can be mentally prepared. Lu Jin said solemnly. Then when will the First Legion return? Yi Feng asked solemnly. First Legion? The First Legion will not return unless after the establishment of the country. Lu Jin said. Yi Feng nodded and his expression relaxed slightly. Why? Is there a difference? Lu Jin asked curiously. Here in the mortal world there are 3 countries that are at war. If the First Legion intervenes, there is no need for me to arrange anything. They can quickly wipe out the 3 countries. However, the king did not do so. I understand the king's intention. Yi Feng laughed. What does that mean? Lu Jin did not understand. The king is broad-minded and far-sighted. No matter how strong an army is, it is only an army. The king is starting to cultivate a second army. Yi Feng smiled. Oh? Lu Jin's eyes lit up. Oh right, what are the 2 cultivators that followed me here for? Yi Feng asked. They are the great swordsman and second swordsman that I mentioned before. The king specially sent them to ensure your safety and protect you. Lu Jin said solemnly. Yi Feng took a deep breath and bowed slightly to the north. Thank you, king. All right, the king has a mission for you. Lu Jin thought for a moment and said. The former consecrator of Zheng country, Lu Gang. The king wants you to quickly gather all the information about him in the mortal world. Lu Jin thought for a moment and said. Okay. Carefree City, City Lord Mansion. Feng Tairan and the 4 palace lords gathered. If that's the case, then this old man will make preparations first. Feng Tairan said to everyone. Yes. Everyone nodded. Feng Tairan stepped out of Ashoka Hall and flew into the distance. Zheng Hong, King Mai sect master Shangyo, and Sect Master Xiao all looked at Feng Tairan with furrowed brows. Is the Day sect really willing to make the mountain guarding formation public? Sect Master Xiao asked in confusion. What do you think, King Yi? Zheng Hong looked at King Yi. King Yi fell silent for a moment. Then he shook his head and said, since Feng Tairan has spoken, then he must be telling the truth. However, I wonder how much of the Day sect's defensive formation he will provide. My Xianyu sect definitely won't take it all out. The Xianyu sect master said coldly. It's fine as long as you know what you're doing. King Yi Mu smiled faintly, unwilling to speak any further. Everyone fell silent. Everyone, I'll be leaving as well. Farewell. King Yi Mu said with a smile. With that, King Wild Mu turned around and left. Only the sect master of the Triyu sect was left. Is there still no sign of the heavenly phenomenon? Zheng Hong asked solemnly. Elder Yu wants to know, but so do we. We just don't have any leads. Sect Master Shangyo said solemnly. Yeah, there's no news at all. Sect Master Xiao shook his head. By the way, isn't it time to divide the Life League's assets? Sect Master Xiao asked again. Sect Master Shangyo frowned and said, I'm not done yet. Let's wait a little longer. Wait for what? You're not thinking of taking it all for yourself, are you? Sect Master Xiao's face darkened. What do you mean by taking it all for myself? I'm in charge of the statistics now. Of course I have to be responsible for everyone. Sect Master Shangyo's expression changed. You? Sect Master Xiao's expression changed. Zheng Hong's expression also darkened. Alright, I'm going back first. I'll inform you when I'm done. Sect Master Shangyo said solemnly. Chapter 362. Carefree City, Purple Heart Villa. Feng Tairan gathered a large number of Day sect disciples and began to set up a formation in Carefree City. Yen Chuan went to Purple Heart's place to relax and enjoy some wine. Is there anything I can help you with? Purple Heart asked softly. There's no need. Although it's a little complicated, I'm confident. Yen Chuan smiled. No, I know it's not that easy. If there's anything I can do, let me do it. Purple Heart shook her head. Looking at Purple Heart's resolute gaze, Yen Chuan's expression softened. All right. Yen Chuan put down his wine cup and nodded. Purple Heart's eyes lit up. What do I have to do? Let me comb your hair for you again. Yen Chuan smiled faintly. No. Purple Heart cried out. Comb her hair? Purple Heart was almost scared to death the last time. Don't worry, there's Meow. Yen Chuan smiled. Meow? Meow, who was lying in a pile of spirit stones not far away, let out a puzzled cry. No, it's too dangerous. Purple Heart said worriedly. Meow's head popped out from the pile of spirit stones happily. Big hooligan, are you going to violate Sister Purple Heart again? Meow asked curiously. Yen Chuan's face darkened and Purple Heart's face turned red. Don't worry, if it's just a simple comb, I can stop the divine punishment. If it's more, I won't be able to stop it. Meow shook her head. What more? If you say more, I won't give you any more spirit stones. I'm going to take back the spirit stones you're lying on. Purple Heart cried out with a red face. Meow Meow didn't say anything. Meow. Meow plunged into the pile of spirit stones again. Yen Chuan looked at Meow Meow in the pile of spirit stones with a strange look on his face. Yen Chuan realized that the little cat he had picked up was not only good at acting cute, it was also evil. Where did such a good kitten come from? King Mai's residence. In front of King Yi stood a group of disciples, each of them holding an invitation card. King Yi Mu was at a loss when he saw the invitation. Master, whose invitation card is it? Dan Qingzi asked curiously. King Yi Mu handed the invitation over. The disciples passed it around to take a look. Yen Chuan? Yen Chuan's invitation? Dan Qingzi said in surprise. The location of the visit is actually within the demon-controlling sect? Lu Gang said with a frown. Master, since Yen Chuan wants to pay a visit, why didn't he come here directly? Why did he go to my demon-controlling sect outside the city? Dan Qingzi asked in confusion. I don't know. King Yi Mu replied solemnly. Dan Qingzi thought for a moment and said, could it be to trick Master and then destroy this place? There's no need for that. There's no point in destroying it. Although this palace is big, it's just a decoration. It's not worth going to such great lengths. Lu Gang thought about it and said, Lu Gang, what do you think? King Yi Mu asked. Master, I think that Yen Chuan's invitation card is very polite. We should meet him. However, eldest senior brother is right. We have to be careful here. If possible, we should invite a divine realm martial uncle to oversee the situation. We'll return to the demon-controlling sect and wait for Yanchuan. We'll see what he's up to. Lu Gang said in a low voice. Maybe he'll bring 40,000 soldiers to the demon-controlling sect? King Yi Mu's face darkened. No way. Everyone's expression changed. Lu Gang and Dan Qingzi will return with me in 5 days. The rest of you will stay here and pretend that you know nothing. King Yi Mu said in a low voice. Yes. 5 days later. Amidst countless rivers, there was a mountain range shrouded in mist. Chapter 363. A large number of cultivators were gathered around as if they were waiting for something. There was a giant monument at the southern entrance of the mountain with the words, Demon Controlling Sect, written on it. In a forest south of the Demon Controlling Sect. Yanchuan, Zizi, Feng Tairan and Lu Jin stood there. Miao was lying on Yanchuan's shoulder. Are you really going in alone? Feng Tairan asked with a complicated expression. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Yanchuan smiled. But Zizi was worried. Don't worry, I'll definitely come out. I'll comb your hair for you. Yanchuan smiled. Zizi nodded and said seriously, if anything happens to you, I won't let the demon-controlling sect off easy. Don't worry. Yanchuan smiled and walked toward the demon-controlling sect. When they were close, Yanchuan slowed down with the Jade Emperor sword on his back and Miao on his shoulder. They slowly walked toward the demon-controlling sect's entrance. In the main hall of the demon-controlling sect. In the main hall, King Yi Mu was in the lead, followed by 2 old men in Taoist robes on his left and right. Behind them were the disciples of the demon-controlling sect. Senior brother, how many people will Yanchuan bring? An old man in a Taoist robe asked. I'm not sure. Thank you for your hard work, junior brothers. King Yi Mu smiled. It's my duty. After the battle at the Taoist Wind Mountain Range, we have to take Yanchuan seriously. Besides, he has the support of the Dai sect and 40,000 soldiers. Sigh. The old man in a Taoist robe said. Who would have thought that Yen Tao's son is so powerful? How dare he make the entire sect wait for him? The other old man in a Taoist robe smiled bitterly. King Yi Mu also smiled bitterly. Indeed, 3 immortal state and a group of chi state cultivators from the demon-controlling sect were waiting for Yanchuan here. Report, sect leader Yanchuan is here. A disciple of the demon-controlling sect ran over and shouted. He's here? How many people? King Yi Mu asked immediately. One, just him. That demon-controlling sect disciple reported. What? Just one person? An old man in a Taoist robe asked with a stiff expression. The atmosphere in the hall was strange. One person. Come alone. Everyone was at a loss for words. Let him in. King Yi ordered in a deep voice. Yes. After the reporting disciple left, the hall fell into silence again. Alone? That shouldn't be the case. The deity realm old man muttered. In front of the demon-controlling sect. Hallmaster Yen, please. A disciple leading the way said respectfully. Even though they knew that Yanchuan was only at the essence realm, no one dared to underestimate him. He was a terrifying blood devil who had killed 6,000 essence realm and hundreds of chi realm experts in one night. Who was not afraid of death and wanted to put on airs with him. Not long ago in the Ahsoka Hall, a chi realm cultivator from the underworld sect came looking for trouble with Yanchuan. In the end, he was killed by Yanchuan with a single sword strike, and the other hall masters were stunned. Therefore, the disciple leading the way was respectful and even a little fearful of Yanchuan. Stepping into the demon-controlling sect, Yanchuan saw a different scene compared to the Dai sect. A large number of demonic beasts roamed around the sect. The demonic beasts were running around, and they seemed to be very obedient to some cultivators. Some cultivators were sitting on demonic cows, while others were riding demonic deer. They were running around the sect quickly. As he walked deeper into the sect, a cultivator riding a tiger passed by him. Meow. Meow suddenly cried out. Brr. The tiger stopped abruptly and lay on the ground. The cultivator sitting on it was caught off guard and fell down. The cultivator's face was covered in dirt and he looked at the tiger angrily. At this moment, the tiger was lying on the ground and looking at Meow with a fearful expression. Meow? Meow called out proudly. With this call, the tiger's fearful expression slowly receded and it bowed respectfully to Meow. The surrounding cultivators were at a loss. Even a tiger bowed to a cat these days? Of course, the defeated cultivator didn't dare to cause trouble for Yan Chuan. Hall Master Yan, this way please. The cultivator leading the way said respectfully. Yan Chuan looked meaningfully at the tiger on the ground and smiled. Soon they arrived at the main hall of the demon-controlling sect. The demon-controlling hall. In front of the demon-controlling hall, King Yi Mu was waiting with a group of experts. King Yi Mu, sorry to keep you waiting. Yan Chuan walked over with a smile. King Yi Mu looked at Yan Chuan. Did he really come here alone? Hall Master Yan, please come in. King Yi Mu said with a smile. Yan Chuan nodded. A banquet had already been prepared in the hall. King Yi Mu sat in the main seat in the north, while the rest of the demon-controlling sect sat to his left. There was only one table on the right for Yan Chuan to sit. The demon-controlling sect is honored by Hall Master Yan's arrival. I propose a toast to you on behalf of the demon-controlling sect. King Yi Mu said with a smile. Yan Chuan nodded and toasted with King Yi Mu. Meow? Meow jumped onto the table, picked up a wine jug and took a sip. TSK. This wine tastes terrible. Meow frowned. Everyone in the hall was stunned. Can talk? This kitten can talk? Alright Meow, stop messing around. Take a rest. Yan Chuan said. Meow? Meow sat down and took out a high-grade spirit stone from somewhere. She held it and bit it gently. Crunch, crunch. Only the sound of Meow chewing on the spirit stone could be heard in the hall. Everyone in the demon-controlling sect was shocked. High-grade spirit stone? It eats high-grade spirit stones? A disciple exclaimed. In the blink of an eye, a high-grade spirit stone was gone. Meow took out another one and continued eating. A cat that eats spirit stones? Why haven't I heard of this before? A demon-controlling sect disciple exclaimed. Meow? Who called me a cat? Meow jumped up reflexively. I. The disciple was stunned. Cat, your sister? Meow cursed. The disciple's face froze. Meow, that's enough. I'll explain. Yan Chuan shook his head. Meow snorted and ignored him. Hall Master Yan? This is? King Yi Mu frowned. Meow, it's not a cat. It's a tiger. Don't get it wrong. Yan Chuan said with a smile. A tiger? How is that possible? Our demon-controlling sect deals with monsters. Why haven't I seen this before? A demon-controlling sect disciple frowned. That's enough. If Hall Master Yan says it's a tiger, then it's a tiger. King Yi Mu interrupted the disciple. Hall Master Yan, the invitation mentioned something important and insisted on discussing it here. What is it? King Yi Mu asked in a deep voice. Today, I'm here on behalf of the Day sect to renew our alliance with the demon-controlling sect. I came alone to show my sincerity. Yan Chuan smiled. Alliance? King Yi Mu's expression changed slightly. The others in the hall also had different expressions. Yan Chuan smiled and said, after my father's death, King Mai also restrained his disciples from participating in the war between the Yan Kingdom and the Zheng Kingdom. It's obvious that he was very close to my father. That's right. King Yi Mu nodded. Chapter 364. After my father's death, King Yi restrained his disciples from participating in the war between the Yan state and Zheng state. It's clear that he had a good relationship with my father. Yan Chuan smiled. That's right. King Yi nodded. The Day sect and the demon-controlling sect used to be allies, right? Yan Chuan took a sip of wine and asked. The hall fell silent. Yes, they used to be allies. King Yi nodded. The Triyu sect, Life League and Four Sects Alliance have 20 Divine Realm experts. If the Day sect and the demon-controlling sect didn't form an alliance, they would have kicked us out of the Carefree City a long time ago. Yan Chuan nodded. Not necessarily, King Yi said solemnly. Yan Chuan didn't refute. He continued, the Day sect and the demon-controlling sect formed an alliance when my father was besieged by hundreds of sects, right? At that time, the demon-controlling sect turned a blind eye and allowed my parents to die in the Day sect, right? How could we have helped back then? If we had interfered, our demon-controlling sect would have been annihilated. A Divine Realm old man on the opposite side shouted. Yan Chuan shook his head and said, I'm not blaming the demon-controlling sect. I'm here today to form an alliance with the demon-controlling sect. Alliance? Is there a need to form an alliance now? King Yi said calmly. King Yi, how strong is your demon-controlling sect in the Carefree City? Yan Chuan smiled. King Yi stared at Yan Chuan in silence. It's the same if you don't say it. Your demon-controlling sect is the weakest in the Carefree City, and you're the first to be kicked out. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Kicked out? King Yi's face darkened. Let me put it this way. The Triyu sect was involved in the battle that killed my father. Therefore, I'm going to uproot the Triyu sect when I enter the Carefree City. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Uproot the Triyu sect? What a joke. You. The deity realm expert sneered. Wasn't the Life Alliance uprooted by me? Yan Chuan smiled. Yan Chuan choked on his words. Did the Day sect agree? King Yi asked in a deep voice. If the Day sect doesn't agree, I won't come to you. The battle of life and death between the Day sect and the Sanyu sect is imminent. Today we formed an alliance with the Imperial Demon sect because we want the Imperial Demon sect to express their attitude. Yan Chuan's expression gradually turned serious. The atmosphere in the hall immediately became tense. The demon-controlling sect has no intention of interfering in the battle between the four sects. King Yi Mu said in a deep voice. Don't interfere? How could it be that easy? Either we form an alliance, or I'll uproot your demon-controlling sect before the final battle with Triyu sect. Yan Chuan glared. Ooh. The Xiozhou on the other side all stood up with angry eyes. Is Yan Chuan here to force us to abdicate? Yan Chuan, how dare you? The demon-controlling sect is not a place for you to do as you please. An immortal state elder shouted. So what if you killed 6 elite state cultivators? So what if you killed a few hundred chi state cultivators? You are just an elite state cultivator. I can kill you anytime I want to. Another immortal state elder shouted. Yan Chuan, do you want to force me to kill you? King Yi Mu said coldly. The 3 immortal state warriors released their killing intent at the same time. Meow. Meow put down the spirit stone in its mouth and looked at the hall in confusion. Yan Chuan didn't feel uncomfortable at all. He slowly put down the cup and pulled the rope on his back. Bang. The Jade Emperor's sword suddenly loosened from his grip and flew out. The faces of the sect masters changed. However, the Jade Emperor's sword wasn't fast. It spun twice in the air and then fell to the ground. Chapter 365. Boom. The Jade Emperor's sword was thrust into the center of the hall. The 3 immortal state warriors narrowed their eyes. The name of the sword is Jade Emperor. It killed all the immortal state warriors of the Life Moon Alliance. Yan Chuan said lightly. Wow. The group of Qi Realm Masters were shocked. All the immortal state warriors of the Life Moon Alliance? All of them were killed by Yan Chuan? Immortal state warriors? How was that possible? Everyone looked at Yan Chuan in disbelief. Although many people didn't want to admit it, they had to admit that 3 of them were killed by Yan Chuan because many people had seen it with their own eyes. Many people said that Yan Chuan had cheated, so they didn't want to admit it. What about the other 2? Were they killed by Yan Chuan? The Jade Emperor's sword seemed to have cut off the arrogance of the overlords in the hall. The Jade Emperor's sword seemed to have cut off the momentum of the overlords in the hall. The overlords' Qi Realm warriors were instantly cut off by the Jade Emperor's sword. King Ye's eyelids twitched violently. The overlords of the Day sect are outside the demon-controlling sect. My army of 40,000 is on its way here. King Yi, believe it or not, I will raise the demon-controlling sect to the ground today. Erased from the world? Yan Chuan's gaze turned cold. You? The overlords in the hall looked at Yan Chuan in horror. Raise the demon-controlling sect to the ground today? Raise the world? At this moment, King Yi finally understood why Yan Chuan had come to visit the demon-controlling sect. He was forcing them to abdicate. Although he knew that Yan Chuan didn't come with good intentions, he didn't expect him to be so ruthless. King Yi clenched his fists. The atmosphere in the hall was extremely tense. After taking a deep breath, Yan Chuan shook his head and said, Of course, I came to the demon-controlling sect today with sincerity. Everyone please take a seat. The overlord snorted and sat down slowly. King Mai, I'm sure you're well aware that the Day sect's only enemy is the Triyu sect. We used to be allies with the demon-controlling sect. There's no grudge between us. Yan Chuan said. This time, everyone listened to Yan Chuan's words. You should know how dangerous the battle between the Day sect and the Triyu sect will be. I don't want to add the uncertainty of the demon-controlling sect to the already dangerous situation. Therefore, today's matter must be resolved. Yan Chuan said solemnly. If we don't form an alliance, you'll destroy my demon-controlling sect? King Yi Mu asked with a dark expression. Yen Chuan said in a low voice, King Mai, you should be able to sense my attitude. I didn't choose to subdue your demon-controlling sect, and that's already my bottom line. Of course there are benefits to forming an alliance. Once I destroy the Triyu sect, I can give you another 10th of Carefree City's property. Furthermore, I promise that as long as the demon-controlling sect doesn't provoke the Day sect, the Day sect will not do anything to you. You promise? What do you have to promise? A divine realm old man shouted. My words are my promise. I can write it to you right now. Yen Chuan said with a smile. The divine realm old man's expression turned serious. Most importantly, please remember that without the Day sect, the demon-controlling sect will be the first to disappear from Carefree City. Yen Chuan smiled faintly. King Yimu's expression changed. Ah, Yen Chuan. Like father, like son. I've finally seen it for myself. I also deeply regretted Yen Tao's death back then. To be honest, it has been my wish all these years to form a new alliance. Since we've talked about it, then let's form an alliance. King Yimu suddenly said with a smile. Yen Chuan smiled faintly. In front of the demon-controlling sect. King Yimu and the others watched Yen Chuan leave with gloomy expressions. Bastard, how dare you force the demon-controlling sect to submit to you? A divine realm old man said coldly. Chapter 366. It's not a vassal, it's an alliance. The Day sect won't interfere with any of our decisions. An immortal state warrior frowned. But I just can't let it go. Then why didn't you say so earlier? I was waiting for the sect leader. The two immortal state warriors looked at King Yi. Lu Gang? King Yi called out. Yes. Lu Gang stepped forward. What do you think? King Yi asked in a low voice. Yes. Master, you pretended to agree with Yen Chuan, but I could tell. Lu Gang said respectfully. The disciples around him frowned. That's right. You promised Yen Chuan that you wouldn't do anything. Let them fight to the death and watch the tigers fight. The immortal state warrior said with a smile. No, we can't do that. Lu Gang shook his head. Why can't we do that? The old man raised an eyebrow. The premise of watching the tigers fight is that the tigers don't know about your existence. Now that the two tigers know about our existence, we can't just sit back and watch. Otherwise, the two tigers will attack our Day sect at the same time. Yen Chuan might be exaggerating when he said that he could flatten the Day sect today, but if the four sects attack at the same time, we won't be able to do anything. Lu Gang said in a low voice. Everyone tensed up. Master, I can tell that Yen Chuan knew that you pretended to agree with him, but he still signed the alliance agreement with you. If we deal with the alliance agreement properly, it will be fatal to our sect. Lu Gang said in a low voice. What's so fatal about the alliance agreement? Someone next to him asked in disbelief. If we don't follow the agreement, Yen Chuan will spread the news of the agreement to the Sanyu sect and arouse their suspicions. If the Sanyu sect encircles us, Yen Chuan will just sit back and watch the tigers fight. Moreover, even if we join the Sanyu sect alliance, the Sanyu sect won't completely trust us because the agreement was signed before joining the Sanyu sect alliance. In this way, when the Day sect and the Sanyu sect fight, we will only be used as cannon fodder and be the first to be betrayed. Therefore, the alliance that Yen Chuan signed is extremely sinister. Lu Gang said in a low voice. What? Why didn't you say so earlier? Dan Qingzi immediately shouted. Everyone looked at Lu Gang angrily. Lu Gang took a deep breath and said, Master, actually, this disciple thinks that we can form an alliance. Because in the worry-free city, even if they don't fight, the next one to be ostracized would be my demon-controlling sect. Because the balance has been broken, there will definitely be more and more conspiracies and collisions below. King Wild sighed. Yen Tao's son is much more powerful than Yen Tao back in the day. King Wild said in a deep voice. Does that mean you agree, Master? Lu Gang's face lit up with joy. Sigh, the demon-controlling sect's foundation is still too weak. I don't know if it's the right thing to form an alliance with the Day sect. Is the Day sect still qualified to clash with the Triyu sect? King Wild said worriedly. Just as King Wild was worrying. Rumble. Outside the demon-controlling sect, the sky was suddenly filled with rolling tribulation clouds, accompanied by the sound of thunder. A vast heavenly might pressed down. Countless demon beasts of the demon-controlling sect prostrated themselves on the ground in fear. The disciples were even more shocked. Heavenly retribution? The heavenly retribution that day in Worry-Free City? What's that? Yin Chuan? Yin Chuan is over there. Yin Chuan led them here. Everyone looked into the distance in shock. Yin Chuan? How did Yin Tao give birth to this son? A bitter smile appeared on King Wild's face. Chapter 367. Meow? In the forest, Meow soared into the sky. Hooligan, my throat is smoking. Stop combing, Meow. Meow shouted angrily. ZZ blushed as she snatched the comb from Yin Chuan's hand and stood aside. Meow. Rumble. The tribulation clouds slowly retreated. Meow, the tigers in the Imperial Monster sect listen to you? Yin Chuan asked curiously. Of course. I am the king of tigers. All the tigers have to worship me as their boss. Meow said proudly. Aren't you afraid that they will swallow you and refine your blood to upgrade their own? Yin Chuan smiled. That's true. It seems quite dangerous. Meow's expression changed. Be careful next time. But don't worry, I will find many tigers to listen to you. Yin Chuan smiled. Meow, you are a good person. Meow immediately jumped onto Yin Chuan's shoulder to please him. ZZ was amused by Meow. Lu Jin and Feng Tairan quickly came over from afar. Tribulation? ZZ, you are really powerful. Feng Tairan said with a complicated expression. How terrifying was the tribulation clouds just now? Lu Jin might not have any idea about it, but Feng Tairan understood that even an ordinary emptiness realm expert would definitely be finished by the tribulation clouds, let alone him. Feng Tairan looked at ZZ in shock and immediately chose to stay away. Your Majesty, is everything settled? Lu Jin immediately stepped forward and asked. Yin Chuan held a golden scroll in his hand and said with a smile, with the signatures of 3 immortal realm experts from the Imperial Monster sect, everything is settled. Let me see. Feng Tairan took the scroll and looked at it. Alliance? Is this thing useful? Feng Tairan frowned. I'm sure King Yimu is still hesitating. Let's just wait and see. He'll come to us in a few days. Besides, thanks to Purplish and Meow Meow, King Yimu won't be able to figure out who we really are. Everything is settled now. Yin Chuan said in satisfaction. Really? Feng Tairan was a little surprised. Don't worry. Everything is settled. Next, we will deal with the Triple Serenity sect. Yin Chuan said with a smile. All right, I will stay and help you. Feng Tairan said. Carefree City Upper Serene Hall. The sect master of the high sect looked. How's it going? Sect master Shangyo asked. Father, the businesses that the Life Moon Alliance's disciples were originally in charge of have already been taken over by us. As long as we take care of all these businesses, we'll be able to take over half of the Life Moon Alliance's businesses even if we divide them evenly. Moreover, no one can say anything. A man said with a smile. Shangyan, you've grown up. The sect master smiled. It's all thanks to Father's teachings. The man said respectfully. However, Father, the sect master and the city lord have sent people to urge us. They want to know when we will distribute the Life Alliance's assets? Shangyan asked. They can't wait anymore? It's fine if Yin Chuan and King Yi are here, but what are they here for? It's not like we won't give them the assets. The sect master said. Father? How much should we give them? Shangyan frowned. The sect master was in a difficult position. He thought for a while and said, We'll talk about it when the time comes. Yes. Carefree City, King of Hell's Palace. Chapter 368. Yin Chuan, Lu Jin, King Yimu and Feng Tairan were all gathered together. King Yimu, you'll be busy from now on? Yin Chuan said with a smile. Since we've agreed to form an alliance, it's my duty to do so. But what exactly are we going to do? King Yimu smiled. The first step is to divide the Triyu sect. Yin Chuan said with certainty. Divide? Use the Life Alliance's assets? King Yimu asked curiously. That's right. It's been almost 10 months. The Life Alliance's assets are almost fully digested. Yin Chuan said with a smile. That's right. The High Serenity sect is too greedy this time. I can feel the sect master and the city lord's resentment. Feng Tairan nodded. That's right. Now, we need the sect master of the High Serenity sect to spit out this piece of meat. Yin Chuan said with a smile. Spit it out? Oh. How can it be spat out after swallowing it? King Yimu was shocked. I want him to spit it out when he can't, Yin Chuan said with a cold smile. High Serenity Palace. The High Serenity Sect Master, Shang Wuji, frowned as he looked at the messenger in front of him. Hall Master Shang, the city lord has called for a meeting between the 5 palaces. He wants you to go now. The messenger said respectfully. Now? A meeting between the 5 palaces? Why didn't I know about it before? Shang Wuji asked in a low voice. I don't know. The messenger shook his head. Understood. I'll go now. At the same time in the city lord's mansion. Just like 10 months ago, all the hall masters gathered again. However, the High Serenity Sect's people were not here yet. Yin Chuan took a deep breath and said, City Lord Hall Master Shang has been embezzling the Life Alliance's assets. I implore the City Lord to uphold justice. Yes, Shang Wuji has gone too far this time. The High Serenity Sect Master said with a frown. Zheng Hong looked at Yin Chuan and sneered, Then what do you think we should do? In order to prevent the 4 sects from suffering any more losses, I implore the City Lord to personally take over the Life Alliance's assets in the name of the Central Serenity Sect. Yin Chuan said seriously. Zheng Hong was slightly surprised. At the side, King Yimu nodded and said, The City Lord is a person of virtue and prestige. I also believe that the City Lord will give us a fair distribution. Zheng Hong frowned slightly. Sect Master Xia Yu also looked at Zheng Hong as if he wanted Zheng Hong to agree. Yin Chuan opened his mouth again. I've checked. 70% of the Life Alliance's assets have been quietly taken over by the High Nether Sect. If the City Lord doesn't take action, we will have nothing left. City Lord, for everyone's sake, you have to work hard. That's right, City Lord. At most, you can give us 30%. How much can we get? So what if he had a good relationship with the High Serenity Sect? This property is related to the strength of the sect. Sect Master Xia Yu also advised. Zheng Hong looked at the people in the hall. Seeing that everyone was in favor of the Central Nether Sect's allocation, Zheng Hong was very happy. However, his face was heavy as he said, Since everyone has agreed, then fine. The Lord of Shangyo Palace has arrived. Someone called out from outside the palace. Shang Wuji quickly walked into the hall. City Lord, everyone? What's the matter today? Shang Wuji asked. At this moment, Yin Chuan was silent. He even had a heavy expression on his face. Just now, Yin Chuan agreed to give the Life Alliance's assets to the City Lord. Brother Shang, you can withdraw your men. Sect Master Xia Yu said. What? Shang Wuji's face changed. Yin Chuan, is what you said true? Shang Wuji said coldly. Chapter 369. Yin Chuan looked at Shang Wuji and smiled bitterly. That's right. I think it's better for the City Lord to do the distribution. Shang Wuji snorted coldly at Yin Chuan and ignored him. City Lord, what's going on? Why are you interfering? Shang Wuji shouted angrily. What do you mean by interfering? What's wrong with that? Isn't the High Serenity Sect doing this for the sake of fairness? Isn't it the same for everyone? Sect Master Xiao said sarcastically. I didn't ask you. Shang Wuji snorted coldly. Shang Wuji turned to Zheng Hong and asked, City Lord, why are you doing this? Zheng Hong sighed, It's not my idea. It's everyone's idea. If you don't believe me, you can ask them. Shang Wuji looked at the crowd. Yin Chuan nodded, King Yimu nodded, Sect Master Xiao nodded, and Zheng Hong nodded. In an instant, Shang Wuji felt like he was being isolated. Anger burned in his heart. Shang Wuji, it's all the same whether you or I get the distribution, isn't it? Zheng Hong said. Shang Wuji understood Zheng Hong's hint. He was saying that if the Triyu sect were to form an alliance, they would still benefit more. However, how could they benefit more than themselves? Shang Wuji's face was gloomy. Seeing that everyone agreed, Shang Wuji could only say helplessly, Yes, I'll listen to the City Lord. At this moment, Yin Chuan said, The High Serenity Sect's distribution speed is too slow. I don't know how long the Central Serenity Sect will take. I think that one of the sects should help the City Lord. Only then will it be fairer. Everyone looked at Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan thought for a moment and said, What do you think of demon-controlling sect? Meh. How can I do it? King Yimu shouted. Zheng Hong looked at King Yimu and said, That's good too. With demon-controlling sect's help, our Central Serenity Sect will have an easier time. If that's the case, then Yin Chuan will wait for the good news. Yin Chuan left. King Yi-mu left not long after Yan Chuan left. Only sect master Triyu was left in the hall. Since Shang Wuji had spat out a piece of fat meat, he must have been feeling suffocated. Zheng Hong and the Shangyo sect master naturally comforted him and promised to keep a large amount of benefits for the Shangyo sect. Only then did they send Shang Wuji away when the sky turned dark. His anger had subsided? No. Seeing that he was about to spit out the fatty meat that he had swallowed, Shang Wuji's heart was filled with anxiety. On the way out, Shang Wuji had an indescribable feeling in his heart. Something's wrong? Shang Wuji's face darkened. With a slight movement, he changed his route and headed straight for King Ye's residence. King Mai's residence. King Mai, tell me what happened in the Ashoka Hall before I came here. Shang Wuji asked. It's nothing. King Wild shook his head. But his eyes flickered. King Yi Mai, my High Serenity sect and your demon-controlling sect are good friends. I left you a portion of the Western Agarwood last time. I only want one thing and I won't say that you told me. You have to tell me. Shang Wuji said expectantly. King Ye's expression changed as he looked at Shang Wuji. In the end, he let out a soft sigh and said, Sigh. What's going on? Why did Yan Chuan change his mind? Why did he let Zheng Hong split the spoils? Yan Chuan? He might be known as the Blood Demon in the Demon Wind Mountain Range, but you and I both saw clearly that he was only in the Essence Realm. He's nothing in front of us. King Mai said in a deep voice. That's right. So what if Yan Chuan has 40,000 soldiers? There's no news of him in the Demon Wind Mountain Range now. Maybe that Huo Guang ran away with his army. What's Yan Chuan to him? Yeah. Actually, it was the city lord and sect master Shangyo who invited me and Yan Chuan to the Ashoka Hall first. Then they forced Yan Chuan to agree. King Mai said. I felt uncomfortable when I looked at Yan Chuan back then. So it was Zheng Hong who forced him? Shang Wuji's expression changed. Zheng Hong? He even schemed against me? Shang Wuji's heart burned with anger. King Mai sneered and said, That's nothing. As long as we swallow the Life Alliance's assets, our sect's strength will increase by more than half, if not twice as much. In a dozen years, as long as we have double the number of Immortal Realm disciples, anything will be worth it. Ah, Zheng Hong? Shang Wuji's eyes turned red. Chapter 370. Ah, Zheng Hong? Shang Wuji's eyes turned red. Zheng Hong was already burning with anger. Now that King Yi-mu had provoked him, his anger surged. Brother Shang, let's just forget about it. You've already agreed to it. If you go back on your words now, you'll become a target for everyone. King Yi-mu said. No, I can't take this lying down. Shang Wuji said with a gloomy face. Sigh. King Yi-mu sighed. Wait, why? Yan Chuan wants us to split the spoils? There's still room for the Central Serenity sect to distribute? Shang Wuji's mind suddenly became clear. Can't you tell? King Yi sneered. There are 4 peaks in the Day sect. Yan Chuan is the peak master of the Heaven Peak. Now that Huo Guang has escaped with his army of 40,000, Yan Chuan is all alone. What power does he have in the Day sect? Won't the other 3 peaks ostracize him? Why would he fight for the Day sect? King Yi-mu sneered. Then why? He's fighting for himself. He must have waited for you to distribute the spoils, and then he would give the spoils to Miss Z. The Day sect won't get anything from him. Instead of letting the Day sect get involved, he might as well let you distribute the spoils. King Yi-mu explained. That's right. Shang Wuji's doubts disappeared. Sai, brother Shang, just accept your fate. However, the Triyu sect is on good terms. The mayor will definitely give you more than me. King Yi-mu advised. No, I can't accept it. Why should I? Why should I fight with me? Shang Wuji's eyes were bloodshot. Please, Sai. King Yi-mu, you have a plan? Shang Wuji's eyes lit up. Actually, it's nothing. Just pretend I didn't say anything. No, please tell me clearly. I will definitely repay you generously. Shang Wuji said sincerely. Yes. To be honest, the most important thing is still Yan Chuan. Even though Yan Chuan doesn't have the ability to fight for this property, he has the right to control the property of the Life Moon Alliance in name. As long as Yan Chuan agrees with Brother Shang's decision, Brother Shang will have the moral high ground. Not even the city lord can do anything about it. King Yi-mu said. That's right. As long as Yan Chuan agrees. Alright, you too, King Mai. If I manage to convince Yan Chuan, you have to help me. Don't worry, I will definitely give you more, Shang Wuji said. King Yi pondered for a moment before nodding in the end. Carefree City, Purple Heart Villa. Yan Chuan, King Mai Lu Jin and Feng Tairan sat at the stone table in the Purple Court. Zhu Jiansheng was standing not far away. Senior uncle Zhu Jiansheng has come to visit again. He wishes to see you, Zhu Jiansheng said with a smile. I won't see him. Yan Chuan shook his head and smiled. I've already sent him away. Zhu Jiansheng smiled proudly. You really won't see him? King Mai asked curiously. I will, but it's not the time yet. Yan Chuan smiled. I'm starting to feel lucky about my decision back then. King Mai smiled bitterly. King Mai shook his head and didn't say anything. Then what should we do next? King Mai asked. The second step is to accumulate resentment. Yan Chuan said in a deep voice. Resentment? King Mai asked curiously. That day I asked your demon-controlling sect to assist the Central Serenity sect just for today. Zheng Hong must have asked your demon-controlling sect to participate in the disguise of justice. However, this is for the best. Your demon-controlling sect can create resentment for them. Yan Chuan said solemnly. What should we do? The Central Serenity sect has swallowed so many properties of the Life League. It won't be easy for them to spit them out. When the disciples of the Central Serenity sect go to ask for them back, there will definitely be a dispute. You just need to pick some smart disciples to go and make the dispute bigger. Yan Chuan smiled. Chapter 371. Oh, make a big fuss? He's fanning the flames from the sidelines, turning a small quarrel into a big fight. Yan Chuan said with certainty. King Yi nodded. Don't worry, the show is about to begin. Yan Chuan smiled. Carefree City, a bustling market. And a huge restaurant. The atmosphere in the restaurant was heavy. A large number of practitioners surrounded the restaurant. In the main hall of the restaurant, two parties were confronting each other. Central Serenity Sect? What are you doing here? This is the property of my High Serenity Sect. The leader of one party, a black-clothed man, shouted. The other party was full of red-clothed men. Among the red-clothed men, stood Lu Gang of the demon-controlling sect. Lu Gang was like a foil watching from the side. Bastard, what property of your High Serenity sect? This clearly belongs to the Life Alliance. You guys forcefully bought it at a low price a few months ago. The red-clothed leader shouted. Buying it means it's ours. The black-clothed leader shouted. Under the orders of the city lord, all of your High Serenity sect members are to withdraw from this area and come back after our investigation. The property that you guys embezzled before will be nullified. Bastard, without the orders of the sect leader, we can't leave. The two parties were yelling at each other. All of them were fuming with anger. At this moment, Lu Gang, who was standing in the corner, said, The city lord's face is not something you bunch of bastards can casually hit. Who damn it, who is scolding me? The black-clothed leader rushed over. Hitting people. Bastard. Another voice shouted. Damn it. Hit. The restaurant was suddenly in chaos. The practitioners fought crazily. In an instant, the restaurant was damaged by the powerful sword energy. Boom. 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 No matter how sturdy the restaurant was, it could not withstand the torment of a group of practitioners. In the blink of an eye, the restaurant collapsed and the battle became even more chaotic. High Serenity Palace. Father, Yan Chuan still refuses to see you? Shan frowned. What bullshit, blood demon, scared by Zheng Hong. Shang Wuji said with an ugly expression. Then what should we do? Shan said worriedly. Let's meet again. Shang Wuji said solemnly. Yes. Just as the father and son were talking, the sound of Jiaohu came from outside the hall. Sect master, not good. A High Serenity sect disciple said in panic. What's wrong? Shang Wuji asked solemnly. The people of the Central Serenity sect chased our disciples away and beat them up. 10 of them had their legs broken and one of them died on the way back. What? Shang Wuji's face changed. It's really tragic. Sect leader, you should go take a look. Shang Wuji quickly ran over. In a large hall, 10 disciples who had their legs chopped off cried as they looked at Shang Wuji. Sect head, you have to seek justice for us. Father, is Zheng Hong going to exterminate us? Shang Yin said with an ugly expression. I don't believe it, I don't believe it. Shang Wuji soared into the skies, flying towards the city lord manor. He landed in Ashoka Hall. Shang Wuji, what do you mean? Why did you instigate your disciples to injure my Central Serenity Sect's disciples? Zheng Hong asked in a low voice. I instigated it? Shang Wuji choked, his face turning red with anger. The two of them glared at each other. Sai, the two of you, what are you doing? What are you doing? The High Serenity Sect master immediately tried to persuade them. My disciples were injured by his men. Shang Wuji shouted. Chapter 372. Your disciple? My disciple also said that your disciple attacked first. Also, why did your disciple stay there and not leave? Zheng Hong shouted. Leave? My High Serenity Sect has to leave when the Central Serenity Sect is here? Shang Wuji said coldly. Shang Wuji, Zheng Hong, calm down. How big of a deal is this? Is there a need for this? The sect master shouted. The sect master of the High Serenity Sect had noticed the unusual relationship between the two sects, so he kept trying to be the mediator. Shang Wuji flew away. However, Shang Wuji was still holding back his anger. City Lord, I think we should be careful. I have a feeling that this is Yan Chuan's scheme. The sect master of the High Serenity Sect advised. I feel it too. I will be careful. Zheng Hong nodded. Purple Heart Villa. Lu Jin reported to Yan Chuan. My king, it has been more than a month. There have been a total of 12 conflicts between the High Serenity Sect and the Central Serenity Sect. Both sides have lost 50 disciples and 10 have died. Lu Jin reported. This resentment has already accumulated, King Yimu said with a smile. It's not enough. These are all low-level disciples. Even if they have resentment, it's not enough. However, you guys have done well this time. You actually managed to kill 10 people for you. Yan Chuan laughed. It's my disciple Lu Gang. That kid is more ruthless. King Yimu laughed. Lu Gang? King Yimu nodded. Yeah, Lu Gang was the one who secretly dealt the finishing blow to the 10 people who died. The fire has already started. It's time to turn against each other. Yan Chuan smiled faintly. The third step is to become sworn enemies. Next it's up to you. My Day sect and even I will do our best to cooperate with you. Yan Chuan said confidently. Sworn enemies? The Triyu sect is about to be removed. Soon. Yan Chuan said indifferently. Upper Silent Hall. Shang Wuji frowned as he paced back and forth in the hall. Over the past month, Shang Wuji's hair had turned a few strands white. The conflict between the Central and High Serenity sects made Shang Wuji feel like he had been schemed against. What's going on? Who is scheming against me? There must be some conspiracy. Shang Wuji was extremely frustrated. Report. A disciple rushed into the main hall. What's the matter? Shang Wuji shouted irritably. Master, there's news from the King of Hell's palace. Oh? One of our disciples barged into the King of Hell's palace and saw Yan Chuan who had just returned. He also reported to Master about your urgency. That Yan Chuan agreed. Agree? Shang Wuji's eyes lit up. Yes, he said that tomorrow afternoon he would like to invite Master to the King of Hell's palace for a while. The disciple replied. Good. Shang Wuji finally encountered something that went smoothly. On the afternoon of the second day, Shang Wuji brought 2 disciples and hurried to King of Hell's palace. Yan Chuan was waiting outside King of Hell's palace. Hallmaster Shang, King of Hell's palace is simple and crude, please don't blame me. Yan Chuan smiled. It's nothing. Shang Wuji immediately replied politely. Hallmaster Shang has looked for me many times. I have matters to attend to outside, I'm very sorry. No worries. Please, I have prepared Day Sect's wine. If Hallmaster Shang doesn't mind, please comment on it. Yan Chuan smiled. Chapter 373. Carefree City in a Forest. On a small hill surrounded by white fog, there were 14 figures. Feng Tairan was the leader, and behind him were the 3 peak masters of the Day sect, Duan Sanshu and some new faces. Sect leader, why did you summon us back in such a hurry? Is it so that the immortal state experts of the Day sect and the Imperial Demon sect can assassinate a group of Qi and Essence state experts? One of the new faces asked. Yeah, this is too. Another man said with an ugly expression. Assassinate a group of Qi state experts? Hehe, you guys came back late, so there are many things you don't know. There are 8 immortal state experts outside and 6 of you are back. But that's it, we must do our best. Feng Tairan said. Sect leader Feng, don't worry, the Imperial Demon Sect will do our best. The 3 Imperial Demon Sect experts said. Feng Tairan nodded. Sect leader, is everything ready? Duan Sanshu asked. Yes, Yin Chuan has invited Shang Wuji to the King of Hell's palace. Next we will demonize Shang Wuji. Feng Tairan smiled. Demonize? Just wait, Shang Wuji will soon become a lunatic. Feng Tairan sneered. Then who are we going to kill? Mo Wu Hui asked curiously. Mainly these 2, Shang Dashan and Shang En. Feng Tairan smiled. Shang En? Shang Wuji's son, a Qi state expert. Shang Dashan? Shang Wuji's brother, one of the 5 immortal state experts of the Shang Yu sect? Mo Wu Hui frowned. Yes, Shang Yu sect and Central Yu sect have been fighting for 2 months, and nearly 100 people have died. Shang Wuji finally summoned his brother Shang Dashan to the city. This is a key person and we have been waiting for him for almost a year. When the time comes we will attack together and not let him escape. Feng Tairan said. Don't worry, we have 14 immortal state experts. How can we stop him? Duan Sanshu smiled. The 14 immortal state experts were hiding in a small valley far away. Nearly 50 people from the 2 forces were confronting each other. One side was black, the other side was red. Bastards, you must get out of here today. The leader shouted. Lu Gang and Dan Qingzi were cheering from the side amongst the red-clothed leaders. This is my Shang Yu sect's territory. Scram. The black-clothed leader shouted coldly. Get lost? Do you think we're dogs? You want us to scram? Lu Gang fanned the flames. Bastard, it's been 2 months and you've killed 10 of our fellow disciples. You bastards, I'll fight you to the death. Dan Qingzi shouted from within the crowd. Boom. You're courting death. Boom. For a time the 2 forces clashed violently again. They unsheathed their swords and took out their magic treasures. For a moment, the sounds of battle in the valley rang out incessantly. Strong winds blew and sand and stones flew. A new round of great conflict had begun. Amidst the chaotic conflict, screams of agony could be heard. He injured senior brother Ma. Avenged senior brother Ma. 6th junior brother? He crippled 6th junior brother. Beat him up. Beat him up. The battle was extremely chaotic. Nearly 100 people in the Qi and Essence realms were fighting against each other. At this moment, 7 or 8 people walked out from the depths of the valley. The leader was a white-haired old man with bright eyes. Beside him stood Shang En, the son of Shang Wuji. Second uncle, they're fighting again. Shang En smiled bitterly. We can't keep dragging this out. The white-haired old man, Shang Dashan, said. As long as father sees Yin Chuan, everything will be solved. However, the Zhongyu sect may know that the situation is urgent, so they are forcing us. Shang En smiled bitterly. Chapter 374. Shang Dashan snorted. With a cold snort, a loud voice rushed into the chaotic crowd of cultivators. The cultivators paused. There were 7 or 8 heavily injured people on the ground. Bastards, who gave you the guts to cause trouble in my high nether sect's territory? Shang Dashan snorted. One of the men on the ground said viciously, this isn't your high nether sect's territory. It's my central nether sect's. Shang Dashan's expression turned cold as he waved his hand. Boom. The man who was already seriously injured coughed up blood and was sent flying. His injuries worsened. Impudent? Shang Dashan said coldly. So it's Senior Shang Dashan. The High Nether Sect Master personally agreed to give up this place. Why haven't you left yet? Another Central Nether Sect disciple stepped forward. Who are you? Shang Dashan angrily rebuked the Central Nether Sect disciples. While no one was paying attention, Lu Gang and Dan Qingzi took the disciples who had been injured by Shang Dashan and left the crowd. Lu Gang entered the forest, while Dan Qingzi brought the unconscious Central Nether Sect disciple through the forest, heading for the Carefree Palace. Within Carefree Hall, King Yimu was chatting with Zheng Hong. The two were chatting happily. Suddenly, Dan Qingzi rushed into the hall with an injured disciple. Master, bad news? Dan Qingzi anxiously rushed into the hall. Bastard, don't you know where this is? Did you barge in? King Yimu said coldly. Master, City Lord, the High Nether Sect's Shang Dashan attacked. He disregarded the relationship between the 5 sects and injured a Central Nether Sect disciple. He was injured by Shang Dashan. If we don't save him now, he won't be saved. Dan Qingzi said anxiously. What? Impossible. Zheng Hong's expression changed. He quickly stepped forward. When he saw the unconscious Central Nether Sect disciple, his expression darkened. He pushed the unconscious disciple. But that person slowly woke up. When he woke up, he saw Zheng Hong. Martial uncle Shang Dashan attacked. This disciple has embarrassed the Central Nether Sect. That person said sorrowfully. Shang Dashan? Is it really Shang Dashan? Zheng Hong's expression darkened. City Lord, please save him. Dan Qingzi said anxiously. He won't die. Take me to Shang Dashan. I would like to see how an immortal state cultivator like him dares to attack a chi state cultivator. Zheng Hong said with an ugly face. Dan Qingzi, Zheng Hong, and King Wild quickly flew towards the valley. Boom. There was a loud bang. The disciples of the Central Serenity Sect all retreated. Many of them had been injured by a huge force. I'm teaching you on behalf of Zheng Hong. How rude. Shang Dashan said coldly. The disciples of the High Nether Sect all felt proud and elated. Educate her on my behalf? Shang Dashan, what qualifications do you have to educate him on my behalf? An angry roar came from the void. Zheng Hong, King Mai, and Dan Qingzi descended from the sky. Greetings, Master. Greetings, Martial Uncle. Greetings, Grandmaster. The sound of the Middle Nether Sect disciples filled the air with wild joy. Boom. The three landed in front of Shang Dashan. Zheng Hong, don't go overboard. Shang Dashan said coldly. I'm going overboard? It's you who went overboard, right? Zheng Hong said in a cold voice. Shang Dashan apologized to the city lord. After all, you were the one who attacked first. King Mai advised. Why don't you apologize? Tui, don't even think about it. Even a clay figurine has a temper. You bunch of disgraceful disciples, how dare you disobey this old man? You have no respect for your elders. Given this old man's temperament back then, I would have died countless times already. Shang Dashan, the city lord is the city lord, the ruler of the carefree city. Your actions today are a provocation to the city lord. How do you expect the city lord to respect the people in the future? Do you think the city lord is a junior of the High Nether Sect that you can insult as you wish? King Mai continued to provoke. Zheng Hong's face darkened. Shang Dashan? Bullying the weak because you're strong but you picked the wrong person. You're strong? I'll play with you. With that, Zheng Hong sent a palm strike towards Shang Dashan. With this palm strike, all the fire chi that he had accumulated over the past 2 months was unleashed. Boom. Zheng Hong and Shang Dashan's palms collided. Shang Dashan didn't expect Zheng Hong to attack just like that. His eyes flashed with surprise. Both Shang Wuji and Zheng Hong had anger. However, they had been holding it in for the sake of the Triyu sect. Today Shang Dashan had completely ignited this anger. Zheng Hong didn't hold back at all. Under his palms, a hurricane suddenly appeared. Hong. Shang Dashan was sent flying. Ta 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 ta. He landed on the ground and took a dozen steps before he could stabilize himself. Shang Dashan looked at Zheng Hong in shock as blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. Zheng Hong's anger dissipated after that palm strike. Looking at the heavily injured Shang Dashan, he felt slightly regretful. Shang Dashan, let's forget about this matter. Zheng Hong said in a deep voice. Let's go. Zheng Hong shouted to the High Nether Sect disciples. Yes, Master. Yes, Grandmaster. The disciples looked at Zheng Hong with admiration. The crowd slowly retreated. Shang Dashan didn't stop them at all, leaving behind the furious High Nether Sect disciples. Second uncle, are you alright? Shang Yin asked with an ugly expression. Zheng Hong? I hate him. Shang Dashan said in pain. Second uncle? Shang Yin asked worriedly. My inner organs were injured by that bastard Zheng Hong. I need to rest and recuperate. All of you protect me. Shang Dashan said in a deep voice. Yes. Everyone replied. Shang Dashan sat cross-legged while the others focused on their surroundings. At this moment in the forest far away, Feng Tairan squinted his eyes and said, It's about time. Leave Shang En to me. 4 Qi Jing, 43 Essence Jing, and the heavily injured Shang Dashan, I'll leave them to you. Finish them quickly. Okay. Everyone nodded. King of Hell's Palace. In front of King of Hell's Palace, Yan Chuan and Shang Wuji sat opposite each other. There was wine on the table for the two to drink. Palace Master Yan? How is it? Do you still hold a grudge? Shang Wuji frowned. Smiling bitterly, Yan Chuan shook his head and said, Of course I remember. However, I know that my father's death wasn't because of you. It was Emperor Imoko. It was him. Also, the Great Winged Heaven School listened to Emperor Imoko. You were forced to do so. It's great that Palace Master Yen can think this way. Shang Wuji's face relaxed. But at that time, the City Lord and High Nether Sect Master pressured me. I had no choice. Yen Chuan smiled bitterly. No, as long as you agree. Don't worry, I'll definitely give you more of your share. Shang Wuji said with certainty. Yen Chuan looked at Shang Wuji and hesitated. It was as if he was deliberately stalling for time. But to Shang Wuji this was indeed something worth thinking about. If you have other ideas you can tell me? Shang Wuji continued to persuade him. Chapter 375. Carefree City Valley? Shang Dashan sat cross-legged, recovering from the injuries inflicted by Zheng Hong. The disciples were extremely depressed. Sigh. Everyone sighed. Don't sigh anymore. Just focus on guarding. Protect us? Who dares to find trouble with us? Zheng Hong? He injured martial uncle, do you think he dares to come back? Just when all the disciples were indifferent, Shang Dashan suddenly opened his eyes. Not good, killing intent. Shang Dashan's face changed. Boom. Thousands of powerful sword chi burst out from all directions. The faces of the disciples suddenly changed as if they were scared silly. Chi. Chi. Rumble. Streaks of sword chi slaughtered a group of disciples, and the surrounding mountains collapsed. The massacre of Divine Realm experts instantly killed a group of Chi and Essence Realm experts. Boom. Bastard, bastard. Shang Dashan screamed. However, as he screamed, 10 sword chi from his peak arrived in front of him. Boom. Shang Dashan's aura exploded and the wind blew. However, he was facing 14 Divine Realm experts. How could he stop them? No. Shang Dashan screamed. His body was covered with sword wounds and his legs were cut off. Feng Tairan roared. Rumble. Chi. Chi. Shang Dashan finally fell to the ground and died. The 14 Divine Realm experts let out a long sigh. Assassination? Fortunately, Shang Dashan was heavily injured. Otherwise, Shang Dashan might have escaped. Or shouted to inform them. Feng Tairan let out a long sigh. Everyone looked at Feng Tairan. Feng Tairan made a shushing gesture, and then checked all the corpses on the ground. After confirming that they were all dead, he waved his hand in the distance. In the distance, Lu Gang brought 2 unfamiliar faces, both wearing purple robes. When they got close, Lu Gang bowed respectfully to everyone. Feng Tairan nodded and pointed at a pile of rubble not far away. Among the rubble, there was a body covered in blood, and only the feet were exposed. Shang-en? Shang Wuji's son? Everyone immediately guessed. He's still breathing, quick. Feng Tairan whispered. Lu Gang nodded and looked at the 2 purple-robed men beside him. Shang Dashan? He's finally dead today. A purple-robed man said. As soon as he spoke, the group of Immortal State warriors looked at him in surprise, because the voice of the man in purple was so similar to that of Sect Master Yu. It was too similar. Although there were flaws, Shang-en, who still had 1 breath left in the pile of stones, would definitely not be able to tell. That's right, he's dead. This is just the beginning. Another purple-robed man said. Zheng Hong's voice? The Immortal State warriors looked at him in surprise. What do we do now? Sect Master Xia Yun said indifferently. Drain all of Shang Dashan's blood. Shift the blame to Yen Chuan Ha. Zheng Hong's voice laughed faintly. Alright. Rumble. Feng Tairan acted and sucked out all the blood from Shang Dashan's corpse. Zheng Hong, are we just going to sit back and watch the tigers fight? The sect leader of the Underworld sect sneered. That's right, let the Underworld sect and Day sect fight to the death, then we'll instigate the demon-controlling sect and let them perish together. Aha, this carefree city will belong to our 2 sects. Zheng Hong's voice laughed coldly. Hee, don't you think it's not good for Shang Wuji to ally with us? Sect Master Xia Yun laughed. Chapter 376. We used to be allies. However, Carefree City's interests are too great. If we want to overthrow the Dae sect, we have to make sacrifices. Why, do you have any opinions? Xinghong said. Opinions? Why would I? It's only right for the High Serenity sect to make sacrifices. Ah. Sect leader of the High Serenity sect said proudly. Under the shocked gazes of the Immortal State warriors, the two voices that Liu Gang found made up a huge lie. King of Hell's Palace. All right. I promise you that you can distribute the assets of the Life League. However, all I have to do is ask. I won't do anything. Yin Chuan sighed. Haha, thank you, Hallmaster Yin. I shall take my leave now. Shang Wuji finally got his reply. I'll send you off. Yin Chuan stood up and smiled. No need, no need. Please stay. Shang Wuji said excitedly. Bringing along his two disciples, Shang Wuji flew up to the sky and headed back to his residence. Not long after Shang Wuji left, Feng Tairan appeared. How was it? Yin Chuan asked. Perfect. Feng Tairan smiled. Shang Wuji flew back to the High Serenity Palace with excitement. Good, good, good. Shang Wuji's face was brimming with excitement even though he had returned. Sect leader, bad news, bad news? A disciple rushed over. What's wrong? Shang Wuji asked curiously. Almost 50 disciples of my sect were killed by Yen Chuan. Martial uncle Shang Dashan was also killed by Yen Chuan. The disciple cried. What? Impossible. I just came back from Yen Chuan's place. Shang Wuji didn't believe it at all. It's true. It's in the valley. Senior brother heard the sound and went over. They were all dead. All dead. It's Yen Chuan's doing. Martial uncle Shang Dashan has already become a dried corpse. The disciple shouted. Bring me there, bring me there. Shang Wuji cried out. In the valley. Second brother. Shang Wuji hugged Shang Dashan's corpse and cried out. A large number of disciples stood in the valley. Dae sect? Was it the Dae sect? This is the sword mark of the Dae sect. That's right, it's the Dae sect. This is Feng Tianyu's sword mark. Also, Martial Uncle's death was caused by Yen Chuan. The High Serenity sect disciples were all furious. Outer sect disciples gathered around to watch the battle from afar. The news spread like wildfire. However, Shang Wuji didn't believe it no matter what. Because earlier Yen Chuan was drinking with him. How could he have come to kill Shang Dashan? How could this be? Buzz, buzz, buzz. A soft sound came from the pile of rubble. Shang Wuji's face changed. Disperse everyone, Shang Wuji shouted. Yes. The group of disciples quickly dispersed the onlookers. Shang Wuji stretched out his hand and lifted it up, causing the surrounding rubble to scatter, revealing a badly mutilated body underneath. Shang'en? Shang Wuji recognized him immediately. There were more than a dozen bloody holes on Shane's body, but none of them were fatal. His blood was about to run out and he was on his last breath. Phew. Shang Wuji waved his sleeves and carried Shang Dashan's corpse up to the sky. Soon Shang Wuji returned to the Upper Serenity Palace. He fed his son some pills to help him recover quickly. Shang'en slowly woke up. Father Xinghong, you old bastard. Shang'en cried out in pain. What? What do you mean? Shang Wuji asked coldly. Shang'en told him everything he had seen and heard. Chapter 377. Central Nether Sect? Xianyu Sect? Such ruthless hearts, all of you are so ruthless. Shang Wuji said with sorrow and hatred. After second uncle was heavily injured, he said that he hated us so much. Shang'en said with sorrow. Second brother? Shang Wuji looked at Shang Dashan's corpse and said with sorrow. Ahsoka Hall. Shang Dashan is dead? Xinghong said with a pale face. Yes, my disciples saw it with their own eyes. It was Dae sect's doing. The one who killed Shang Dashan was Yen Chuan. Xianyu sect master said in a low voice. He died just like that? Sigh. Xinghong sighed. I sent people to the vicinity of King of Hell's palace and saw Feng Tairan and Feng Tianyu. It can't be wrong this time. The Dae sect actually learned how to assassinate people? Xianyu sect master said coldly. But why hasn't Shang Wuji come to discuss this with us? Xinghong said with a complicated expression. Xianyu sect master sighed. Maybe he's angry about the Life League's assets and wants to settle it himself. Sigh, I've gone overboard with the Life League's business. No matter what, the Triyu sect is on the same side. Just in case, let's transfer some Immortal Realm experts from our sects to assist Shang Wuji. Jing Hong sighed. That's the only way. Xianyu sect master nodded. Should I go and comfort Shang Wuji? Xianyu sect master asked again. No, he didn't come to us himself. Why should we go to him? Don't worry, we'll help him when the time comes. Zheng Hong shook his head. King of Hell's Palace. King Mai, Feng Tairan and Yan Chuan sat on a stone bench. The remaining 3 immortal state experts from the High Nether sect are all here. King Mai laughed. Zheng Hong must think that they're here for me. Yan Chuan laughed. I think so too. Ah. Feng Tairan laughed. What about Central Nether sect and Xianyu sect? Yan Chuan asked. 3 more immortal state experts from Central Nether sect and 2 from Xianyu sect. Feng Tairan said. The third step, revenge. Success. Shang Wuji's mind had been clouded by the evil fire of the past few months. Just wait and watch the show. Yan Chuan said with a smile. You're a little too ruthless this time. King Wild smiled bitterly. If we don't do this, do you really think we'll fight head-on with the Triyu sect? Yan Chuan smiled. King Yimu nodded and said, even though the difference in numbers isn't that great, we might have suffered heavy losses if we hadn't participated in this round. Isn't that enough? In this way, wouldn't it be better to reap the benefits of a fisherman's quarrel? Only a boorish man would risk his life. Yan Chuan said with a smile. Yes. Don't worry, I'll do as you say. King Wild Mu nodded. The array formation in the city can be activated at any time. Feng Tairan said. Let's wait a little longer. Once they start fighting, we'll activate it. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Lu Jing. Yan Chuan shouted to the side. Old slave is here. You can inform the First Legion now. Have Hua Guang surround the 3 sects' encampment. Don't show any mercy. Kill. Yan Chuan said solemnly. Yes. Feng Qianyu, Gao Bufan, Mo Wuhui, and Duan Sanshu, go and assist Hua Guang in dealing with the 3 immortal state experts who haven't entered Carefree City yet. Trap them. Yan Chuan looked at Feng Tairan. Don't worry, I'll tell them. Feng Tairan nodded affirmatively. Looking at the sky, Yan Chuan smiled and said, if I'm not wrong, the last battle will be tonight when the moon is high in the sky. Chapter 378. Carefree City. That night, perhaps due to the weather, Carefree City was much colder. At the same time, there was more fog than usual, but it was very subtle. If one didn't pay attention, it would be hard to notice. In front of the King of Hell's palace, Yan Chuan raised his cup to the moon. He sat at the stone table in front of the palace, overlooking the city. Lu Jin stood behind him respectfully, not saying a word. Miao lay not far away, looking at Yan Chuan and the moon in confusion, as if she had guessed something. ZZ poured a cup of wine for Yan Chuan. Tonight, you don't have to accompany me. Yan Chuan said softly. No, tonight is such a big event, I have to be by your side. ZZ shook her head. You've combed my hair twice. Although Miao managed to get rid of the divine punishment, I'm still worried that other calamities might befall you. ZZ said worriedly. I said it's fine, I'm blessed. Yan Chuan smiled. Then let me accompany you until dawn. ZZ bit her lips. All right. Yan Chuan smiled and nodded. Secluded palace. Shang Wuji looked at the 3 men in front of him. My 3 junior brothers, Shang Dashan's death cannot be in vain. Zheng Hong, that despicable person, killed Shang Dashan in order to destroy our secluded Shangyo. If we don't take revenge, our secluded Shangyo will never be at peace. Shang Wuji said coldly. Sect leader, tell us, what should we do? The 3 of them asked solemnly. If he killed Shang Dashan, so we'll kill him. He framed the Day sect, so he must think that we don't know. He must not be on guard against us. So what if he's at the peak of the God realm? If the 4 of us attack together, he'll die instantly. Shang Wuji said coldly. Assassinate Zheng Hong? The other 3 were slightly surprised. That's right, Zheng Hong must die. Once that hypocrite dies, Shang Dashan's death will be avenged and our secluded Shangyo's crisis will be resolved. What? You don't dare? Shang Wuji said coldly. We'll kill whoever sect leader kills. We await sect master's orders. The 3 of them immediately became spirited. All right, follow me to the Ahsoka Hall to assassinate Zheng Hong. Shang Wuji said coldly. Yes. Ahsoka Hall. Zheng Hong, sect master Xiaoyu, and 5 other new faces were standing in front of King Yimu. You've also heard about Shang Dashan's matter, right? Zheng Hong sighed slightly. Yes, the Day sect actually did such a despicable thing. But then again, your Triyu sect sure is close. King Yi Mu said in a deep voice. Zheng Hong smiled faintly. Over here, your two sects chose another 5 deities to enter the worry-free city. Wasn't it to assist Shang Wuji? You've all given this a lot of thought. King Yi Mu said with a smile. Everyone in the hall looked at each other, nodded, and smiled. That's right, the enmity between the High Nether sect and the Day sect, we can't stay out of it. Similarly, as the last sect in the carefree city, your Imperial Demon sect can't stay out of it either. Zheng Hong said solemnly. My demon-controlling sect? King Ye's expression changed. Yeah. Inside the hall, the two sect masters tried to coerce King Yi Mu. Alright, I'll do my best. King Yi Mu sighed slightly. Rumble. Outside the Ahsoka Hall, an earth-shattering explosion suddenly rang out. Is this the Imperial Demon Sect's formation? Someone broke in. King Yi Mu's expression changed. Everyone's expression darkened as they rushed out of the hall. Chapter 379. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Not far away, a strong gust of wind blew. Countless clouds swirled around the center and more clouds gathered. At the center of the clouds, four figures could be vaguely seen. It's Shang Wuji and the others. Zheng Hong smiled. Shang Wuji, who was trapped by the great cloud formation, also saw the people in front of Ashoka Hall. Rumble. The clouds suddenly became several times thicker, blocking everyone's vision in the blink of an eye. Ha, Shang Wuji has finally spoken to us. Sect Master Xiaoyu laughed. Yeah, since he's willing to speak, everything can be discussed. Zheng Hong smiled. That's right. Our 4 sects alliance can be destroyed in the blink of an eye even if the Day sect was at its peak. Sect Master Xiaoyu said proudly. King Yi Mu removed the formation and let them out. Zheng Hong smiled. Okay. King Yi Mu nodded. Then he rushed into the white mist. Zheng Hong, Sect Master Xiaoyu, and 7 other Immortal State warriors slowly surrounded them. Inside the great cloud formation. What's going on? Sect Master, why are there so many people? Isn't Zheng Hong the only one? An Immortal State warrior's expression was extremely ugly. What should we do? How can we assassinate Zheng Hong? 7 Immortal State warriors? No, with King Yi Mu that's 8. That's twice the number of us. Another Immortal State warrior said anxiously. Calm down, calm down. Shang Wuji's eyes were red. He couldn't calm down himself, but he wanted the other 3 to calm down. Whoosh. At this moment, King Yi Mu stepped in. Clang? Clang? Everyone drew their swords and was about to attack. Wait! Shang Wuji shouted. Shang Wuji stopped everyone and looked at King Yi Mu. King Yi Mu? You're here too? Does this formation belong to your demon-controlling sect? Shang Wuji asked coldly. Brother Shang Sai, thank goodness I used the formation to stop you. Otherwise you'd be... King Yi Mu's expression was ugly. What? Shang Wuji's expression changed. You saw it just now too. In fact, Zheng Hong predicted that you would assassinate him tonight, so he called over the Immortal Realm experts of the Middle Nether sect and the Lower Nether sect. Moreover, he set up an ambush formation in the Ashoka Hall. King Wild Mu didn't continue, but it was enough for him. Treacherous bastard. Zheng Hong is a treacherous bastard. He wants to wipe out my High Serenity sect in one fell swoop. Shang Wuji said with sorrow and hatred. Why did they do that? Another Divine Realm warrior asked worriedly. I don't know either. However, I noticed that Carefree Hall was filled with murderous intent when they asked me to attack the Day sect, so I thought that it might be dangerous. That's why I informed Brother Shang in advance. I hope you don't mind. King Wild sighed softly. I won't. It's all thanks to you. I, Shang Wuji, will remember this in my heart. Shang Wuji said sincerely. I understand now. Zheng Hong found out that my son is not dead, so he probably guessed the whole story. Now that the hatred between the 3 sects has been formed, he wants to kill us. After killing us, he will ask the demon-controlling sect to help him destroy the Day sect. It's almost the same as the previous plan, but with some slight changes. Shang Wuji quickly sorted out a plan for himself. Then what should we do, Sect Master? The 3 God Realm cultivators asked anxiously. King Yi, thank you for your reminder. Please remove the formation. Shang Wuji looked at King Yi. I'll go out first. It's a little troublesome to remove the formation. It might take a while. King Yi said. All right. Thank you. Shang Wuji said solemnly. King Wild Mu strode away. Only the four of them were left in the formation. Sect Master? A vicious look flashed across Shang Wuji's face. Chapter 380. Half a cup of tea later. Misty cloud array disperse. King Yimu cast a spell. The misty cloud formation that trapped the four immortal state warriors was suddenly blown in all directions by a storm. Boom. The array dispersed in the blink of an eye. Ha, brother Shang, how have you been? The seven immortal state warriors laughed as they walked towards Shang Wuji and the others. Die. Kill. Roar. Give me your life. In the blurry environment where the misty cloud array had dispersed, 4 rays of sword light pierced towards them. The immortal state warriors attacked with all their might. Shang Wuji and the others were determined to die as they attacked the 7 immortal state warriors. Boom. Tiske. What? Everyone exclaimed. Blood spurted into the sky as the violent sword chi exploded with infinite power. Bastard. Bastard. Boom. Zheng Hong and the others attacked and a violent gust of wind separated them. However, the square was covered in blood and internal organs were scattered all over the place. The sect master of the lower sects clutched the bloody hole in his chest as he looked at Shang Wuji and the others in shock. Shang Wuji? Yeah. The sect master of the lower sect's eyes turned red. He was almost done for. 1 from the lower sects died, 2 from the upper sects died, and the sect master of the lower sects is severely injured. Haha, sect master, we are even now. Someone behind Shang Wuji shouted. Phew, yeah. Shang Wuji said with a hint of madness. Shang Wuji, are you crazy? You lunatic, how dare you kill 2 of my junior brothers? Zheng Hong's eyes turned red. Let's go. Shang Wuji turned around and left. Where do you think you are going? Zheng Hong roared and charged towards Shang Wuji. No one can leave. The sect master of the lower sects shouted as he clutched his chest. Boom. The 2 sides were at daggers drawn. Kill. Shang Wuji changed his tone and charged towards the crowd again. In an instant, sword light flashed and a violent gust of wind blew. It was 4 against 4 and everyone was filled with hatred as they fought against each other. Boom. Boom. The 8 Divinity Realm Masters fought against each other. For a moment, the entire worry-free city shook. The 8 immortal state warriors fought and retreated at the same time. In the blink of an eye, they were scattered in all directions. The loud explosion caused countless cultivators in worry-free city to wake up from their sleep. All of them stared blankly at the sky. Shang Wuji, you lunatic. Zheng Hong attacked Shang Wuji. Zheng Hong, you hypocrite. You should have known that this day would come. Shang Wuji waved the long sword in his hand. Awareness, my ass. You lunatic. You're crazy. Zheng Hong roared. As the 2 sides fought, no one noticed that the temperature of worry-free city was slightly colder than usual, and there was also more fog in the air. King Yama's palace. Standing on the high platform, Yan Chuan looked at the light of the battle in the distance. While drinking, he revealed a satisfied smile. Feng Tairan and King Mai arrived together. All Master Yan, this is amazing. It's exactly as you guessed. They've gone mad. The Triyu sect has really gone mad this time. King Yi Mu said excitedly. Who has the upper hand? Yan Chuan asked with a smile. It's about the same. The sect master of the lower sects is injured, but Zheng Hong is more powerful. So, it should be about the same. The longer they fight, the better it is for us. King Mai said confidently. The formation of our Day sect has been completely activated. At this moment, worry-free city is completely sealed. No one can leave. No one can leave. Feng Tairan said with a smile. Good. Let's wait for the battle between the snipe and the clam. Yan Chuan took a deep breath. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.